The story began with the main character remembering that he is a student of the classics department, as well as a self-proclaimed enthusiast of Western countries who makes educational videos. But for some reason, this is not popular. He didn't understand how it was worse than those who fall in front of luxury cars and show off their wealth. He was surprised that simple head movements get more than 6 million likes. Then he thought that there is nothing surprising in this world. Remembering the girl, he wondered if a beautiful face could be food, because even if a person doesn't have denin, he still wants to eat good food. He also remembered how she got out of the car and said that it was naive to say good things, but it was a shame to say bad things. She also asked in a restaurant what kind of talk he had about ideals and why he thought that the poor were also worthy of love. She told him it was time for him to wake up. After that, he finally realized that in this world money is the main thing, and feelings are only available to the rich. He also suggested that it was probably time to say goodbye to his feelings once and for all. Having seen a message on his phone that his verification period had expired and that the travel system in the West was being launched, he did not understand what was happening and why the phone was making sounds by itself. He even had the idea of a virus. He did not understand what kind of system the Western world was, but when she invited him to enter it, he agreed to it. Then he saw the woman in front of him and tried to understand where he ended up. The first thought that immediately came to him was that perhaps he was now in the women's bathhouse. Next, he thought that no one could resist such a thing, and although he was a good person and could not do this, his body had its own thoughts about this. He further decided that he had to leave before she found him, because if he was caught and thought that he was a pervert, he would be finished. But when he tried to leave, the water through which he tried to do so gave him away. He didn't take into account the fact that water makes sound when you walk on it. She noticed him and began to scream, seeing and realizing that he was not familiar to her at all. He asked her to do it later. She wrapped herself in cloth and rose into the air, and he wondered if she was a celestial being. Remembering the phone and the system in it, he realized that it was not a virus and that all this actually existed. The main character wondered if this is really the Western world and who is the immortal he just saw in the bathhouse. Seeing a flying girl with a sword who threatened to kill him, he began to run away from her. He told her as he ran away that it all happened by accident and asked her to let him explain everything to her. The girl said that she would not listen to a pervert like him. He still tried to explain and said that he woke up where she was washing and that he couldn't see anything because of the fog. He also asked if she was really going to kill him over such a trifle. She asked what this nonsense was and what the royal harem staying in this open-air bath had to do with it. He asked if he had really met the queen and realized that he had just arrived in the Western world and had already seen the queen's body. He further decided that since this woman is an empress and has to levitate, he cannot afford to waste time on her and must find a way to leave. He drew her attention to the Monkey King's son Wukong and began to run away until she believed it and began to look for him. She realized that he had deceived her and began to catch up with him, asking how he dared to deceive the empress and who gave him the right to invade her chambers. She promised to take his life for this. He realized that flying is faster than walking. At the same moment, the system congratulated him on his successful meeting with the empress, for which he would receive a talisman of divine movement, invisibility, a pill to raise the level of cultivation, and much more. After he used all this, she asked not to run away from him, and the question arose in her how he knew how many spells. At that moment, her servants came and asked her forgiveness for coming late. She asked them to catch this guy for her and bring him to her alive. Enjoying how good the talisman was, he knew that neither this empress nor even the Monkey King could catch up with her with it. But he was unable to run far due to lack of energy, although he escaped. He wondered what other opportunities he had, but he decided to find out a little later, and now he decided to lie down and enjoy this wonderful day. Seeing a notification about the successful linking of Westworld to short video, he clicked on it and the question arose in his mind whether this was some kind of system code. He became interested in what was in the in-game store and, having selected it, he saw it and a message that the player could shoot short videos to receive likes, which could be exchanged for goods. Seeing the variety, he was surprised that there were different spells, pills, magic tricks, magical treasures, fruits of immortality, and much more. He was even more surprised to see there were pills that could bring the dead back to life, and a book of transformation, an elixir of transformation, a golden eye, and all the mythical techniques of the Western world available in this store. He then remembered that short videos were being made all over the world, and he wondered if there was a better way to make a splash. And at that moment the thought came to him about the option with the Empress, because her face and her temperament surpass all the most beautiful women on earth. But her conviction remains the only problem. He didn't understand how to convince the queen, whom he had just looked at naked, and she was probably still thinking about how to dismember him into pieces. He further remembered that he had an invisibility amulet in his package for beginners, which he had forgotten about. Then, at night, at the top of the land of the daughters, the main character looked for the Empress, but did not find him. At some point he finally found her, and realized that nothing would most likely work out due to the fact that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. Then he calmed down and realized that she was not even able to find a person to talk to when she was free, and he wondered if he had any opportunity to help her. Then he filmed her, and realized that on the top of a high mountain, such a cold and lonely beauty is the most beautiful girl in the world, who does not need any filters, much less jewelry. Watching the footage, he suggested that if the world saw the queen's face, it would be sacrilege to him. But then, he decided that only he could see such stunning beauty. She heard something, turned around and realized that that same stupid thief was watching her again, and it seemed that he was that same legendary person. And moreover, he was the first who dared to talk to her like that. The main character understood what she thought of him and also understood that it looked like he was really handsome, because even the queen was fascinated by him. Then he entered the real world, and the system congratulated him on his successful return. She also said that she discovered that the owner liked to shoot videos and travel, so she decided to install it on his smartphone. The main character said that she had a strange excuse for getting into his phone. The system replied that he had yet to learn the deeper reasons for its choice in the future. She also said that he could call her at any time just by opening the phone, and could also enter the world of traveling to the West at any time. He asked if he could really go and walk in another world at any time. The system responded positively. The system also informed that he can get into the world of traveling to the West for free when completing tasks, and if he wants to get there without a goal, then it will cost 2 million likes. Whoever is the husband will also be given a task. She also said that only after reaching level 30 would he be able to travel freely. He decided that if this was the case, he should post the video and get likes. After publication, he realized that although he did not capture her face, the video was no less beautiful. Then he remembered that this queen had a too cold and proud character, and decided that she was unlikely to have a match on Earth. After some time, he heard and saw the notifications and did not understand where they came from, because it was already late and it was unlikely that anyone would write messages to him. Seeing that in just 20 minutes the video received 200,000 likes, he was very surprised. The next day in the morning he woke up, looked at the phone, and was very surprised that all this turned out to be not a dream. He saw at that moment that he had very little left to reach 3 million likes and realized that now he could afford pills, techniques, spells, and much more. After that, he discovered the system of traveling to the West and realized that he did not understand much about it yet. But he thought that an amulet of stealth or functional techniques would be useful to him, because the world of Western travel is very cruel. After exchanging likes for items of his choice, he suggested that if he punched a wall, he would probably break through it. Then he saw a call from Wang Shui, his ex-girlfriend, and he wondered why she was calling him. Having received the call, he heard that she was giving him a minute to give her the contacts of the girl from the video. He told her that she would make do, because she was not one of those to whom he could give these contacts. After the call ended, he had questions about who she thought she was, and whether she thought he was in love with her. Wang Shui realized at that moment that this beggar freak dared to hang up her call. After answering the next call from Wang Shui, he said that he had hung up her call and asked if she really didn't understand anything. She asked him if he thought he became cool by photographing that girl. She also said that this world is full of guys cooler than him, and in general, if she wants, she can easily destroy him. He told her that in this case, she can do it as soon as possible, because he knows that she is only cool in words, but has not yet shown herself in reality. Then he realized that it's good that he has a system, and that now he doesn't care about the opinions of any garbage. He also told her that if she wanted to see him, they could do it at the hotel at night. And he also said that if she doesn't want to see him, then it's better not to try to call him anymore with her threats, because in that case, they will see each other on the blacklist. She said that she wanted to discuss her new boyfriend's business idea with him. The main character had a question whether her new boyfriend really liked the queen so much that he wants to buy her contacts through her. She responded positively and said that this was a big business and that their company liked this girl, so they wanted to sign a contract with her. She also added that she would pay him 50,000 yuan for her contacts. Hearing this, he realized that she was taking him for a fool, because in the comments someone wrote that he was ready to have dinner with her for 500,000, and she was asking for her contacts for 50,000. After some thought, he asked if she really thought that he didn't have enough money at all and that he needed her 50,000. She asked if she really heard and felt that his heart trembled at such an amount. He said after that he agreed to 50,000 and thought that he wanted to look at this major who wanted to offer him 50,000. She said she was glad to hear such an answer and made an appointment near the school. After the conversation, she realized that he was still a loser for agreeing to do anything for 50,000. Meanwhile, he realized that he was still a fool when he allowed her to treat him like that. The next day, Wang Shui's boyfriend asked her if she was being bullied and where the loser was. She calmed him down, asked him not to be nervous, and said that she thought he was just afraid of meeting him, so she needed to give him time. He told her that he hadn't arrived yet anyway, so she could help him with some things for now. She said that the main character had already arrived, so they could do the real thing for now. He said that in this case he would feel sorry for her today, and suggested that she come closer to the main character. She further thought that the main character imagined himself as someone who was clearly out of time, because if he had arrived on time, she would not have angered her boyfriend. When they met, the girl introduced the main character to Liu Zhan, who is her boyfriend, and wants to sign a contract with that girl. The main character clapped his hands, laughed, and said that they were very suitable for each other. Liu Ran told the girl that it seems the main character is not so stupid and cuts the trick, also laughing. The girl also laughed and agreed with him. The main character understood that she only knew how to scratch her tongue, and he showed off a lot. Given this, he concluded that they were a bad couple. Liu Zhan took out a card, showed it, and said that it contained 50,000 and that the password to it consisted of 6 zeros. He further added that if he gives him the contact of that girl from the video, then this card will belong to him. He also asked not to worry, because he understood that this was the first large sum, and asked if he wanted to take it without showing politeness. The main character agreed and apologized to him, saying that he was really to blame. Seeing this performance, the girl told the main character that, in her opinion, he was now a pathetic dog. The main character took the card and broke it in front of their eyes, which surprised them greatly. He then asked for forgiveness and said that he had squeezed her too hard. He also allegedly noticed that his hand was dirty, and wiping it, asked what he touched that was so dirty. Liu Ran asked the main character why he dared to provoke him and whether he was looking for trouble. After these questions, the main character hit him so hard that he flew far away from him. Next, Liu Ran asked the main character why he hit him and whether he knew who his father was. The main character said that he did not care about his father and hit him again, and that he hoped that he would remember this day. Spectators came to them, and one of them asked if this was the same inconspicuous guy. Someone replied that it was really him. Liu Ran said that he would not calm down if he did not cripple him, and after his words he went on the attack. The main character said that he asked for it himself, and he hit him even harder, adding that he was a weakling. When leaving, the main character told him that they hadn't even started a fight, but he had already fallen down, and in general, he and the girl told him that they were both trash in his opinion. One of the observers said that he was brave because he beat Mr. Liu in front of everyone. Another said it was beautiful. Wang Shui told him that he was finished. He replied that he was looking forward to it. Then she wondered what happened to him because he was a coward and henpecked before. She then asked her boyfriend if he was okay, knowing that if anything happened to the only son of the Liu family, she would be finished. He told her that she was already annoying him with her kind words and asked her to call an ambulance as soon as possible. Arriving at the hostel, he received a message that his father was in the hospital in serious condition, after which he called his mother and asked what happened to him. She replied that he lost consciousness due to his illness and that he had been in a coma for a day. He asked her not to be nervous and promised to come up with something. Mom said that he needs imported medicines, but they cost more than 1,000,000 yuan and they don't have that kind of money. He still asked her to take care of him, and still, no matter what, he promised to come up with something. She asked him to take care of himself, because there is no need to overwork. After the call, the main character decided to look in the system for medications suitable for his father, but noticed that he still had a lot of restrictions, and therefore he could not take anything. Next, he remembered the Juyan pill and realized that if he could sell the Juyan pill to some rich stars, then he would definitely be able to get the required amount. Then he remembered that he did not have contacts of rich stars, and that there was nowhere to get them from. He even had the idea of selling the pill on the black market, but at that moment his mother called him again. She further said that Miss He helped them, and therefore he should thank her. She also said that she knows that he doesn't want to cause them problems, but Miss He transferred the money to them, and that's why Dad is now in the VIP ward. She also said that she would reimburse all their treatment expenses. After speaking, he realized that judging by her intonation, she thought that he was the one who asked Miss He to help them. But he doesn't even really know who she is, or how he should thank her. Moreover, she allocated such a huge amount, and even if she was rich, he didn't understand why he would give 1,000,000 yuan to strangers. Then a woman called him and said that it was she who paid for his father's treatment. He understood that she was a stranger to him, and her help was a mystery to him. He Bing Shue further said that her goal is very simple, and he wants to get the contact information of the girl in the video from him. The main character said that he thought it was some kind of big setup, but it was just because of contacts. The woman suggested that the payment for his father's treatment be considered a gift in honor of meeting him. She also said that if he wanted, he could ask her for something else, only within the bounds of decency. He said that in fact, he would like to give her her contact information, but she demanded that he not give her contact information to anyone. He also said that she did not want to become famous and that she wanted to enjoy a quiet and peaceful life. She asked if he could film her face for her. She promised that she would not show this video to anyone. She also added that if he makes this video, she will do anything for him. He said that he didn't need anything for it, but promised to try to do it anyway. He realized that she was ready to do anything for this video. Moreover, she saved his father's life. He further asked how he could return to her the money she paid for his father's treatment. She said she didn't have to pay back his father's treatment fees. Having tried to look for information about her, he realized that she was a rich beauty who was the most beautiful of all celebrities. He went on to say that no matter what, he would not wait long to return the money. He realized that with the help of the system he would quickly earn this money. After looking at the video after the call, he discovered that it had already received 9 million likes and assumed that it was already close to 10 million. After reading the comments, he saw that even foreigners began to write comments, because even they were captivated by the beauty of the queen. He also thought that just a couple of days ago he had 2 subscribers, and now he has 5 million, and it seems that everyone likes to look at beauties. Next, he decided to find out what pills he could buy in the store. In the store, he saw that one pill costs only 50,000 likes, and since he already has more than 9 million, this is mere trifle. Having bought some of them, he didn't know what would happen if he ate 5 pieces, but he decided to conduct an experiment. After taking them, he acted as if he had a high fever. Having eaten only 2 pills, he was already filled with strength, and he wondered what would happen if he ate the remaining 3. When using it, he even wondered if he could really defeat 10 enemies with one fist after taking them. After taking 3 more pills, he felt even stronger. He felt as if this force was trying to tear his body apart. After 10 minutes, the system congratulated the main character for reaching the peak of the base level. After seeing and hearing this message, he asked if there were also levels of cultivation in the Western world. He also realized that if he found even more level-raising pills in the store, he could then immediately break through even further. The system said that it didn't matter how many pills he took, because in order to break through further after the basic level, it was necessary to practice techniques. Next, he received a task in which he needs to visit Chang'e, moon goddess, make a good impression on her, and ask her to pose for the camera, after which he will receive a good reward. He understood that Chang'e was not just a queen. Although the queen is strong, she is not a deity. But Chang'e is the mistress of the lunar palaces, and she is incredibly strong. He suggested that this time he should not be arrogant, and that he should be well prepared. It is written on the internet that girls need to buy cosmetics, handbags, food, but this does not apply to Chang'e. Remembering that he most likely gave few gifts to Wang Shui, he realized that these girls would never please. Chang'e is still a goddess and is unlikely to be like all the girls, and when he completed the task, the system, in his opinion, will send him to the divine peach garden, which could not be cooler than anything. He had even already planned to have fun with the divine elders and eat the fruits of life. At that moment, someone knocked on his door and he wondered who it could be. Opening the door, he saw 2 guys and asked them what brought them here at such a late time. One of the guys said that he was alarmed that he could not reach him a minute earlier, so he called the commandant. The commandant asked the main character, being alone in the dormitory, to follow safety precautions and not use prohibited electrical equipment. He agreed with her. After they left, he realized that it seemed like cultivating in the dorm was a bad idea. The system reported that he could enter the system's cultivation room, and that the system's room would provide ideal conditions for cultivation, one of which was that 1 day in the real world was equal to 10 days in the training room. Having also learned that after entering the hall, he could begin cultivation, and realizing that this passage of time was very slow, he wondered why he could not speed it up to 100. But having learned that he would have to pay 1 million likes for every day for this, he realized that all he could do was shoot more and at the same time collect more likes. Then he remembered the queen and realized that he had not met her for a long time. Arriving in the land of maidens, he thought that even if in the outfit chosen by the system he did not look like a man, it was still better than being mistaken for someone else and getting caught. He was also surprised that not one of the many doctors in the palace was able to cure the queen. Meanwhile, one girl asked another if she had heard that several eunuch doctors had been convicted of misdiagnosing a disease. Hearing this, the main character asked the system if it could find out what the queen was sick with. The system responded that it could only detect the disease if symptoms were present. The girl also said that the queen only gets sick from the smell of food and vomits while eating. She usually drinks ginseng soup and medicine. The main character wondered if these symptoms were consistent with anorexia. After this thought, he called the girls. When asked who he was, he replied that he was a doctor who had come to examine the queen. They searched him, and one of the girls asked him to follow them because they would bring him to her. Inside the queen's bedroom, the girl asked, since when food began to disgust the queen. She was told that this happened about half a month ago. At that moment, he remembered that it was then that he first found himself in the land of maidens, and the question arose in his mind whether the queen's lingering longing for him had caused her to lose her appetite. One of the girls asked the other if she also believed that the queen had an aversion to food. Another girl said that according to her arguments, this is exactly how everything is and nothing else. The third girl said that they had already thought that the queen was taking medicine. She also added that after taking the drug, the queen's health was not affected, but she still remained just as depressed and still had no appetite. Another girl added that perhaps something was bothering her. The girl asked if no doctor could cure their queen's illness. After the main character said that he could, one of the girls asked how he dared to penetrate the walls of the royal palace and asked the servants to grab him immediately. He realized that he was so worried that he forgot to put on a girlish voice and further asked them if their first priority now was to heal the queen at this moment, because he knew that he could do it. One of the girls said that he still needed to be taken to prison and they were about to take him away, but the queen said that he could come to her. The girl said that he was a man, and men should not be allowed to see her. The queen asked not to force her to repeat the order, and the girl agreed to carry it out after that. They turned him on, and he decided that he needed to calm down and not think about her curvaceous forms. She asked the girls who brought him to leave, after which they began to leave. The main character said that he should feel her pulse and hoped that she would not recognize him, because he was the one looking after her while swimming. After feeling the pulse, the system issued a primary diagnosis of food aversion, which is associated with psychosomatics. Therefore, you need to solve the psychological problem in order to cure it. She took him by the hand and said that she recognized him and that it was he who was spying on her. He said he didn't understand what she was talking about. She took off his head covering and said that it was impossible not to recognize him. He said he didn't do it on purpose. He also said that by curing her, he would atone for his guilt and asked for her forgiveness. She asked if he was really a doctor. He replied that he knew a little about this, and as soon as he heard that she was sick, he immediately rushed to help. He further said that since she has the strength to be angry, it means that the illness is not so serious, and since she is healthy, then his powers have ended, and therefore he will leave. He didn't understand why she was so angry with him, but as he was leaving, she stopped him. He asked her not to be so angry because he was joking, and he further thought that after all she was a queen, and therefore he should behave more decently. He returned to her and asked her not to worry, because he would definitely cure her. She asked what he was doing in the place where she was taking a shower. She also said that if he had not disappeared so suddenly then, she would not have gotten sick. He asked if she was sick because she missed him. She told him that he was mistaken. When he approached her even closer and asked if she felt better now, she answered positively. He said that since she was now definitely healthy, he would avoid punishment. She swung at him and said that this all started because of him and that he was a pervert. He held her hand and asked if she really wanted to take revenge on him. He did something to her, asking her to be patient because now everything will pass. The girls outside the curtain separating them from the queen thought that something forbidden was happening there and asked the queen if she was okay. The main character then came out to them and said that he had cured her and that they could come in and see for themselves. The girls went to examine her, and one of the girls, when checking her pulse, discovered that it was very regular and that she really no longer had signs of illness. She further told the others that he really was an excellent doctor and asked if he should be thrown into prison now. Next, one of them asked him how he was able to cure the queen. The main character replied that this is his secret method, which he cannot divulge to them. Another of the girls told Alian to ensure that the doctor had a good rest and added that she should serve him well, while he was being taken away. One of the girls said that she was shocked that he was such a skilled doctor. Another girl said that now she is calm about the queen. Meanwhile, he understood that if he did not have a system, he would already be dead. He had to try hard to force the queen to swallow the pill of calming the spirit, but in the end, he succeeded. After all this, the system congratulated him on completing an additional task, because he managed to gain the favor of the queen and receive a reward in the form of 3 spells with which he can turn any material into gold. After seeing this message, he liked the whole thing. After all, judging by this whole situation, we can conclude that he stole the queen and also received a reward. After half a month of cultivation, the main character managed to move forward by as much as 3 levels. But he still has many limitations, and besides, he did not completely cure the queen because he did not solve her psychological problem. At the same moment, he felt a sword on his shoulder and realizing that it was her, he asked her to talk calmly. He didn't understand why, after the queen's favor with her, she still wanted to kill him. She asked him not to tell anyone about what happened that day. He asked what exactly happened. She said that he himself knows this. He asked her not to worry because he would not tell anyone about this. She asked him if he understood that since he had touched the queen's body, he was now obliged to her. He said that he didn't think their relationship would develop so quickly. She asked him to promise her that he would not disappear again like he did last time. He promised her this. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Liu Ran came to his senses and told Wang Shui, who was sitting next to him, that he would kill the main character. But he couldn't even be angry at that moment, because having gotten angry and saying that he would answer for everything, he hit the couch with his fist and felt extreme pain. He further told the girl that it was all because of her, because she told him that he was too cowardly to fight back. She said she didn't know this would happen, but he didn't want to listen to her and asked her to leave, hitting her in the process. She left his room thinking that the main character had set her up and saw the main character's mother. Having remembered and made sure that it was definitely her, she realized that it seemed that luck was on her side. After some time outside the castle of the country of maidens, the main character decided to try disconnection, and he succeeded. Having seen and felt this, he realized that it turns out that there is such a powerful cultivation in this world. Then he decided to return to the real world and realized that he could do whatever he wanted there. But the system reported that this was possible. And when he asked why, she replied that the Western world is filled with spiritual energy, which is why it can engage in cultivation. He asked if in the real world there really is no energy and it won't become as cool as here. The system replied that without spiritual energy, cultivation is impossible. In addition, now he has many restrictions. He said that it was working out, he was in vain to rejoice. The system said that when he reaches higher levels, some restrictions will automatically be lifted. The queen approached him and asked if he was now openly spoiling the land of her possessions. He asked her how she ended up here. She replied that she wanted to look into his eyes as a ruiner of the family. When she left, the system congratulated him on the successful completion of the task because he had solved the queen's psychological problem. He asked how this was possible since he didn't do anything. Arriving at the queen's chambers and seeing her dance, he realized that it would be a shame not to film such beauty now. After filming and finishing the dance, he applauded her and said that it was wonderful and that her dance was magnificent. She asked him if he was really capable of just a couple of compliments. He replied that he was simply delighted and that all this praise was unnecessary. She said that he was a terrible talker and that this dance was his reward for curing her. He told her that it was an honor for him to cure the queen. Sitting at the table with the queen, he realized that he liked such a friendly atmosphere. Then he heard a notification on his phone, and after watching it, he was surprised that the queen's new video received so few views. She asked him what happened. He replied that it looked like he would have to disappear for a while. She asked if he really wanted to leave so quickly. He asked her not to worry and promised to return as soon as he dealt with his affairs. Meanwhile, in the hospital corridor, Wang Shui called the police and told them that it was this old woman who stole her jewelry. The main character's mother said that she didn't steal anything. Wang Shui asked how she wasn't ashamed of stealing at that age and whether she really was wandering around an elite hospital in order to fool someone rich. The main character's mother said that there was too much slander from her. Wang Shui asked the police to take the thief to the police station because it was better not to make noise in the hospital. The main character's mother asked why she was setting her up because she didn't do anything to her. Wang Shui replied that her son was to blame for everything. At that moment, the main character came and asked to let his mother go. One policeman asked what kind of chaos they were doing here. Another police officer said that Wang Shui accused the woman of stealing her jewelry. Wang Shui asked him why he was staring, because his mother really stole her necklace and the evidence of this is in her hands, so she won't be able to get away with it. He asked if she was sure about this. She replied that she was sure and that it cost 29,999 yuan. He asked where it was now. She replied that it was now in the thief's pocket. He asked if the necklace was now in her pocket. She took it out of her pocket and, surprised, did not understand what kind of mysticism it was because she had definitely put it in her pocket. At that moment, many people gathered around her who said that she was a disgrace and that her hands were full of shit, and she also blamed others. The main character asked the police what kind of police they were who, as soon as they heard accusations, grabbed an innocent man. The police apologized for making a mistake. Mom told the main character that everything was fine and that she was fine. He said that he still wants to understand this to the end. Next, the main character asked Wang Shui if she was ashamed to show off fake cheap jewelry. Then he hit her with money, asked her to take it and get away from him and not touch his mother. He also told her that next time he would not stand on ceremony with her. In my father's room, my mother told him that the money was intended for treatment. He told her that he received a bonus at work. At that moment, he realized that it was good that the system had awarded him a spell that could turn matter into gold. Then he went to exchange, and the one who exchanged told the main character that if he needed to exchange gold again, he would do it at a very favorable price. He understood that thanks to the system, it would not be so difficult for him to climb to the highest level of life. After that, he returned to his mother and asked to take the money on the card and buy Dad all the best things with it. Mom said that Dad's condition has stabilized, so the money is no longer needed. Moreover, according to her, he needs to arrange his life, so he needs this money now. The main character said that he still has money, but after his recovery, Dad needs to eat more, and it's not worth feeding him bad foods. Next, the system asked to finally complete a task with Chang'e, the essence of which is that he needs to win her over and also film her dancing. There's a generous reward for this task. In a small alley, the main character understood that he needed to try very hard to win her over. He also realized that even though his cultivation was now at the peak of the basic level, it was still difficult for him to carry so much junk. He asked the system further if the store had some kind of storage ring. The system responded positively. He read a post about an entry-level storage ring with 10 square meters of space placed in it and traded it for 500,000 likes. After that, he placed all his junk there and realized that it was now much more convenient. Next, the system offered to move to the lunar palaces, and after agreeing and getting there, he asked her if she could land him more softly. The system responded that it had done everything in its power. Then the question arose whether these were the same lunar palaces and whether he would soon see the legendary Chang'e and what she generally looked like. A little later, he saw the girl and the question arose in her mind whether she really was Chang'e and whether she really looked like that. She asked who he was. He replied that he didn't burst in here on purpose and that he was traveling through worlds, so he wandered here by chance. He also added that the aura of loneliness drew him here, so he unwittingly ended up here. She asked if it was true. He asked for forgiveness if he had offended her in any way. She didn't understand why he actually came here if he had magical powers, and she asked after thinking whether he really travels through the worlds. He responded positively and said that now he would clear her doubts, and then he thought that it was in vain that he was deceiving an innocent girl. In this case, she asked him to tell her what other worlds he had already visited looked like. He shared a lot of things about his world, including the fact that he captured a lot of beautiful moments using his phone. She said his world was quite interesting. He said that if she really liked him, then he could take her there with him. She said that the Jade Emperor does not allow her to leave the Lunar Palace. He realized at that moment that even though she is a deity, her life really passes in complete solitude. Next, he suggested that she try at least one of the packets of chips, because this should lift her mood. She tried them and said that they were really tasty and that it really lifted her spirits. The main character, meanwhile, realized that he could not even think that the little goddess Chang'e loved to eat so much. Then she decided that she could now be very embarrassed, because she had completely forgotten about her image because of the delicious food. After thinking about it, she said that although these chips were very tasty, she forgot about everything in the world because of them. He told her that right now she looked very cute, and if she liked them, then she could eat as many of them as she could. He took out his phone and started filming her, and at that moment she asked what he was doing. The main character replied that one should always try to capture beautiful moments. The main character said that in fact, besides this function, his phone has many more interesting things that he can teach her. Then she asked him to quickly hide, having heard some rustling. He didn't understand what was happening. After the main character hid, a maid came to her and said that after the 15th, Lady Wang wanted to have a banquet, and so the emperor ordered her to prepare a dance. After she left, the main character came out and asked Chang'e what this maid could do. She replied that she was already used to it. She further added that participation in the banquet is the only way to leave the Lunar Palace. The main character realized at that moment that she should enjoy life, but she was like a bird that was locked in a golden cage. Next, he took something out of the ring and said that this thing is called a music box. After that, he showed and said that if she pressed the button, music would play to which she could dance. Then he saw that she began to dance and began to film it on video, thinking that perhaps now she was happier than ever before. At this point, the system congratulated him on completing the task and rewarded him with 72 transformations. But even with them, he understood that he could not help her get out of here. He understood that his strength was still not enough to resist the Jade Emperor. After finishing the dance, she said that he could consider it his gift. He took her hand and said that since it was late, it was time for him to leave. He had already planned to post a video, get a bunch of likes, and get more valuable artifacts that would increase his power. She didn't want to let him go and asked if he would come to her again. He replied that she should not worry, because he would definitely return to her. Walking out the door, he thought that someday he would definitely be able to take her away from this place. Meanwhile, in the Toktok office, the protagonist's colleague, Wang Shiwei, showed the video and said that the protagonist's video had again gained unprecedented popularity. The head of the department, Long Jue, said that he was just a rookie who was lucky. He said that, however, he thinks that it is thanks to her that he is able to make short videos at a good level. He further added that they could steal his account, and then they would have a huge resource. He also said that they could take over his account and divide the money from views between the two of them. He also added that the account is very popular and very valuable from a business point of view, and by taking possession of it, they will be able to get rich, and when they become so popular, even the director of the company will depend on them. Hearing what she said, that he was right, he realized that it is very easy to deceive women, because for his own benefit, he is ready to say goodbye to his conscience. After that, he approached the main character and said that he would now report to the head that he was playing on the phone at work. After some time, he approached him again and said that Miss Longju was calling him to the office. He came to the office and she told him that she heard that he accidentally shot a video that went viral on the internet. He confirmed all this. She further added that now the company needs progress, so he should give his account to the company. He told her that unfortunately he could not do this, no matter how much she asked for it. She said that now he is only a trainee and does not have enough experience. But if the account is managed by a company, the number of subscribers will not fall. He told her that he created this account before he took the job here, so she has no right to demand from him what belongs to him. He understood that she wanted to steal fame from him, which he was not ready to give up. At that moment, Wang Qiwei came to them and said that they were civilized people, and if he gave the account to the company, the head of the department would give him a practical test, after which he could easily go for a promotion. The head added that if he decides not to give up the account, then he should know that the strong always defeat the weak, and that she has a lot of ways to worsen his life. A colleague advised him to think about everything more carefully, because when he gives up the account, part of the earnings will go to him. He also said that you don't need to cut off your chance for a good future because of your hot temper. He thanked them for their advice and said that they could not decide his future. Leaving the office, he said that he had not yet processed the video, so there was no point in distracting him. The head of the department said that if he didn't give up his account today, he could pack his things and leave here forever. The main character told her that she seemed to have a human appearance, but even evil dogs had better personalities than her. A colleague, calling him a freak and asking what he said, tried to hit the main character. But when he tried to strike, he flew away so much that he himself did not expect it. The head asked how he dared to let go of his hands. The colleague, meanwhile, did not understand what happened and why he flew away from him so much. The main character, calling the head a fool, asked why she thought that he hit him. The main character also added that his colleague himself could not stand on his feet, so there is no need to get angry and throw crap at him because they failed to steal his account. The head said that he was fired and that he needed to pack all his things and leave now. The main character said that he didn't want to work in a company with idiots like them and threw her a letter of resignation. At that moment, the director came into the office and asked why they weren't working and what they had done here. The head said that he came on time and could see for himself. A colleague said that the main character is a complete cunning person because they work as a team and he wants to take all the credit for himself. The head said that she wanted benefits for their company, and the main character, in response to her anger, decided to quit and also hit her. The director drew attention to the main character and said that it turns out that he was the same Chen Shuo, whom he had long wanted to meet in person. The head asked the director if he had mixed up anything, because it was he who had caused chaos here. The director got angry and hit him and asked if she really wanted to teach him. He also added that they should not even think that he does not know about their vile plans, because he will soon deal with them. He further told the main character that he did not expect that such a talented employee would ever appear in his company, because it was too great an honor for him. The main character said that he was exaggerating. After this, the director told him that if he continues to make videos, he will allocate a lot of money for their advertising, but for this, he needs to remove the letter of resignation. He also added that if he remains in their company, he will fulfill any of his demands. He understood that he could not now miss out on such a person who had become very famous because of his videos. The main character understood that judging by his politeness, he understood the scale of his fame, but if it stops being popular, he will throw it away immediately. Moreover, now he must focus on completing the system's tasks. The main character, after thinking, told the director that the head had just reprimanded him harshly, said that his abilities were insignificant and that he was not worthy of working here, and that he thought and realized that she said everything correctly. Realizing that he also decided to set her up, she asked when she told him that and what kind of slander. The director asked her to shut up and told the main character that he should not take her nonsense into his head because his abilities are at a very high level, and in general, he is the most worthy of all. The main character said that he had already decided everything and asked not to dissuade him from this decision. The director said that since he was so confident in his decision, he would not dissuade him and therefore he could quit. He understood that since the main character is now very popular, it is better not to anger him. The main character thanked the director for this and began to leave the office of the head of the department. After the main character left, the director turned to the remaining two and said that if it weren't for them, he would have become much richer, so they must now quickly pack up all their things and leave the city altogether. Arriving at the dorm and sitting down at the computer, he realized that if it weren't for all these showdowns, he would have edited the video with Changi long ago. After he finally edited this video and sent it to the network at Company A, the employee informed the boss about it. The boss asked to promote this video to the first place in trends and let him contact the author of this video. In Company B, the boss told his subordinate that if they hired him, the money would last him a lifetime. The main character, meanwhile, saw that the video was trending and realized that he couldn't even imagine that it could happen so quickly. He was also very surprised by the speed, seeing that in 10 minutes the video collected 200,000 likes. Then he saw a message from Lin Haodong that after 4 years he wanted to organize a meeting of classmates, and the question arose in his mind why today he remembered about his classmates. After that, he thought that he just wanted to show them what he had achieved in life during this time. He further decided that he didn't care about it, because what was more important to him now was increasing his cultivation level. He told the system that he wanted to enter the training room, paid 1 million likes for it, and went to the entrance. Once in the room, he felt pleasant energies that, like a fountain of water, passed through his body, cleansing every cell. Having started training 72 transformations, he remembered that he had already seen on TV how the Monkey King used this technique, and how then he looked at his transformations with great pleasure. Then he realized that although he now has the conditions for training, there is nowhere to rush. After all, even if the Monkey King himself learned this technique in 3 years, he will also not rush, because raising the level is important. After 5 days, the system asked if he wanted to pay 1 million likes and extend the training. He refused this. He remembered that time flows differently in this room, and 5 days here are equal to 1 day in the real world, and besides, everything went numb to him. The system congratulated him on reaching the 4th basic level and achieving the 2nd level of the 72 transformation technique. Having seen and understood this, he really liked everything, because in 5 days, he even improved his technique. After entering the real world, he felt that his body was filled with power. Then he thought that now he was free, and today he could finally relax. He also thought that people tend to dream, so he decided to rent a car. Arriving at the Paulette Auto Club, he was greeted and asked to show him the Ferrari 488. After showing the car, he was told that this model is equipped with a 3.9-liter V8 engine with twin turbocharging. The main character asked to stop the story because he already knows this car well and suggested getting straight to the point. The girl asked how long he wanted to rent her for, saying that the rental cost 6,000 yuan per day with a deposit of 300,000 yuan. The main character said that he would rent it for 1 week and offered to sign a contract. While he was waiting for the girl with the contract, his classmate Lin Haodong approached him, who organized the meeting and told him that they had not seen each other for a long time. A classmate asked him if he could really afford a car now, and if he would then sit on a doshirak for the rest of his life. After all, if he damages the car, his family will not be able to compensate for this amount in their entire life. The main character had a question whether he really had troubles with his head, and why he insulted him for no reason. Next, the classmate said that he wanted to rent a Porsche 911 right now. At that moment, a task came from the system, which was that he needed to find a way to disgrace Lin Haoji, for completing which he would receive a surprise. He never expected that the system would give him such strange tasks. The girl brought him the contract, and he said that he would no longer rent a car. The girl then asked if he wanted to see other cars. The main character said that he meant that he wanted to buy it right away. The girl asked if she had heard correctly. He thought that since he was buying it, he decided that he needed to get a new one right away and asked if they had a new car, and not this one from the display case. The girl asked to wait while she clarified this now. He wondered if this girl was afraid of falling, running so fast in heels. After 3 minutes, she returned and told the main character that there was only 1 car of this brand left in their province, which would be delivered in 3 days, and if he doesn't mind, then they can arrange delivery now. He asked what about the price. The girl replied that the Ferrari 488 costs 46,380,000 yuan. Taking into account the discount, the final price will be equal to 46 million yuan, and as a gift he will receive a protective sun cover and a discount card for gasoline. He was asked if he agreed to this deal. He answered positively and said that in 3 days he would come for the car, and thought that it was good that he had exchanged all the gold for money in advance. While already in the coffee shop, he looked at the video on his phone and saw that in just one day he already had 3,400,000 likes. He looked at the negative comments and decided that he didn't care about the criticism because anyway, despite this, the video received a lot of likes. The main character understood that he would never have thought in his life that he would ever become the object of attention of so many media companies, because even the owners of TikTok decided to contact him. He also understood that now he had a lot of money, so there was no need for him to burden himself with cooperation. Moreover, despite their politeness, he thinks that they can write unfavorable conditions for him into the contract in small print. The girl came to him and said that the traffic jams were terrible today. She asked his forgiveness for keeping him waiting. The main character said that it was okay because he had just arrived, after which he offered to take the menu and order what she wanted. The girl ordered a glass of Americano, and the main character ordered a latte. After the waitress left, the girl asked where the photo was. The main character handed her the photo and said that he had prepared it in advance. Seeing her reaction, he did not expect that this businesswoman would squeal with delight, like a little fan. After some thought, he asked why he was reacting this way, since it was just a photograph. The girl replied that there are few such beautiful girls on this planet, so she needs to be appreciated. She went on to say that this girl seemed out of this world, and that she didn't seem like she was an ordinary person. After that, she asked how they met, because judging by her look in the photo, she does not look at him as a friend. The main character replied that in fact, he met her by chance, and out of politeness, she agreed to appear in the video. The girl said that she thought that they had a good relationship, because in that case, she could get to know her through him. He asked why she was so upset about this. She replied that this was because her research project was now at a dead end, and added that she should not take it to heart, because she did not say it seriously. He said she could tell him anything she wanted. Moreover, she helped his family at the most difficult moment. As for the project, maybe he can help her with research. Next, he gave her a youth preservation pill, the components of which she can research. And if she manages to do this, then she will be able to create a new brand of anti-aging cosmetics. She touched his forehead with her hand and asked if he was sick, because it seemed to her that he was delirious. After that, she asked if he really believed that youth pills existed. After all, this is fiction from television series. He said he knew she wouldn't believe him, but he still advised her to investigate because the result would definitely surprise her. After some more time, the system congratulated him on reaching the 9th basic level, which he did not expect in just 2.5 days. At the same moment, an employee of the car club called and said that his Ferrari 488 had already been delivered, so she asked him to come. He said he would be there soon. After the call, he remembered that today was a meeting of classmates. Seeing that the main character arrived in a Ferrari, one of his classmates asked everyone to leave and said that he had been friends with the main character since childhood, so he would be the first to greet him. The girl asked if he was worthy of him because he was only his errand dog. Another classmate asked them not to swear and to give way to the main character because they blocked everything and he had no way to get out. The girl asked if this was really the main character. A classmate said that this car is worth millions. Another of the girls said that he is the one who makes the videos that have become the most popular in recent times. A classmate asked if he had the phone numbers of all the girls he filmed. Another classmate said that he had been awake for a couple of days trying to imagine her appearance. The main character said that he promised to keep all the data of these girls secret. One classmate said that they studied together and asked if it was a pity for him to give them their phone numbers. Another classmate said he only wanted phone numbers, not a piece of his meat. A third classmate asked if they really didn't know what a trade secret was. He also said that the main character tried very hard to make these wonderful videos, but they only need phone numbers. He also told the main character that he shouldn't worry, because since he doesn't want to give the phone numbers of beauties, no one will force him. One girl asked the main character why he never accepted her friend request. Another asked her if he should report to her. At that moment, another classmate drove into the protagonist's Ferrari, and when he got out, asked who was driving it, having never learned how to park. The main character asked what he needed. A classmate asked if he was angry because he rammed his rented car, which he would never pay for in his entire life. The main character replied that he turned around only to see how brave the person was who deliberately spoiled his car. A classmate told everyone that a couple of days ago he was in a car club and saw this friend renting this car, and added that he just wanted to appear rich in front of them. After that, everyone pounced on him, condemning him, and at that moment he realized that seeing a weak person in front of him, they pounced on him like jackals on carrion. He also realized that they had not changed a bit over the years. Next, the classmate told the main character that he need not worry, because he had already called the boss of the car club, and if he admitted in front of everyone that he had decided to show off in vain, then he would think about covering his expenses. The main character asked if it was he who crashed into his car and if he should now compensate him for the damage. A classmate asked if he still hadn't realized that soon the car club workers would come here, and then he wouldn't be as impudent. Seeing Boss Joe, a classmate asked him not to be angry with his former classmate, because it was his first time renting a car, so he didn't know the rules at all. Boss Joe pushed away his classmate, who kept asking him not to scold the main character. But the situation turned out unexpectedly, and Boss Joe told the main character that he was very glad to meet the one who bought a Ferrari from them for cash. A classmate asked Boss Joe if he had mixed up anything and how he could buy this car with one payment. After his question, he thought that he didn't call Boss Joe here to shield the main character. The boss asked the classmate if he still doubted him, then said that he allowed him not to pay a deposit on the car because of his friendship with his father. The classmate replied that he wanted to say something else. The boss told him that he had just wrecked his rental Porsche and asked how he was going to pay for the damage. One of the girls said that Lin Haodong ran into the main character for half the evening, and the rented car ended up with him. Another girl said that she thought that after paying for the damage, he would not be able to pay for all of them dinner. Lin Haodong told them that just because his luxury car was being repaired now, he had to rent this one. The main character asked him if he would avoid paying for the damage, since he was so rich. The main character also added that if he parked incorrectly, then let the traffic police resolve this issue, because judging by his face, he was just about to call them. The boss told Lin Haodong that he was now obliged to discuss this incident in detail with his father. He asked his boss if he wanted his father to kill him. The boss told the main character that he still has a lot of things to do, and therefore he must go, and his car is already covered by insurance, so there is no need to worry about the issue of compensation, because there will be no need to spend money on repairs. The main character thanked the boss and asked for forgiveness for distracting him so late in the evening. The boss said that there was nothing wrong with that, because since he was their valuable client, he was happy to help him, especially since it was not his fault that they both wasted their free time. After the boss left, the main character asked his classmate to think first before doing anything, and he also told him that such situations should not be repeated. Otherwise, he would not only be disgraced, but also become a laughing stock. Lin Haodong tried to hit the main character, but other classmates detained him, and one of them told him that enough was enough. After all, they were former classmates, and therefore there was no need to create awkward situations. Ching Ran arrived with a motorcade of 7 BMW S450 cars and asked for forgiveness for being a little late. Lin Haodong remembered that she was the daughter of one of the managers of a real estate company in Shanghai. After that, he decided that if he could make friends with her, then he no longer had to worry about his future. One of her classmates said that they say that she has been suffering from a strange disease since childhood, so she did not go to school very often. Another said he felt sorry for her because she was so beautiful. Hearing this, the main character realized that this was why he did not immediately remember her. Next, one of the classmates asked why fate was so unfair to this beauty. Another replied that apparently money does not solve everything, because money cannot buy health. At the table, Lin Haodong had already told Ching Ran that his family owned a pharmaceutical company and that he knew a good doctor who could examine her. One of the guys said that his sister had been examined by hundreds of doctors and asked if he thought his friend was better than them. Lin Haodong said that this doctor usually does not appear in public, but because his family's business is related to medicine, he knows him personally. The main character asked the system if it had a cure for her illness. The system then began scanning. After scanning, the system reported that her body was full of energy, but she was not moving due to stagnation. The energy channels are almost completely clogged, and that is why she has no more than 3 months to live. He wondered whether even in this world there are people who have cultivation energy in their bodies, and whether cultivation is also available to it. He also had a question about how it could be cured. The system replied that in order to remove stagnation of energy, she needed to take a channel clearing pill. He wondered if everything was really so simple that she would only need one pill for this. Lin Haodong asked Mr. Ching if he should invite Dr. Ye here, who might be able to cure her. After all, he saw with his own eyes the skill of this doctor, and it seems to him that he can even resurrect the dead. After approval, he began calling the doctor to invite him. The main character stood up and said that he could actually cure her too. Lin Haodong asked the main character to stop showing off already, because he is definitely not capable of everything. Mr. Ching said that as far as he knows, there is no one here with medical training. Moreover, the best doctors in the country were unable to cure her, and he asked after that why he thought that he could do this. The main character told Ching Ran that every day at lunchtime, she feels a bursting pain in her chest, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon she feels dizzy, and by 5 o'clock she begins to have convulsions, and it's better to remain silent about what happens at night, and asked, "Is it so?" She heard this and realized that he had just said what she felt every day, also with amazing accuracy. She wondered if he really knew how to cure her. She asked her brother to give the main character the opportunity to try to cure her. The brother asked if he needed any tools for this. The main character answered negatively and added that he needed to be alone with her because there were too many people here. His classmates asked him what he was going to do with her when left alone. The main character said that if they were also worried about her, then her brother could come with them and see what he would do with her. The main character could not even imagine that the energy channels could be so clogged, and even if he uses the full power of his level, he will not be able to completely break through them. Next, he asked the system how long it would take at his level to break through its channels. The system replied that this would require 48 hours, and the pill would reduce the treatment process to 2 hours. Once he saw the cost of the pill in exchange for 5 million likes, he was very surprised. Then he remembered that Buddha said that saving a human life has no price, and he will earn likes, but he is obliged to save her life. After purchasing the pill, the system asked to massage in the specified places to break through its energy channels. He told the system that these places are not very decent. At that moment, his brother asked him what the current situation with her health was. He replied that she would gradually get better, he just needed to give her a massage. Lin Haodun asked not to talk nonsense, because it was clearly impossible to cure it with just a massage. The main character understood that he himself would not have believed this before, but he's a cheater, so everything will be fine. After that, he asked what he would tell him when he cured her. A classmate said that if a massage really cures him, he will eat shit on live TV. The main character said that this was good and that they agreed, because everyone heard his promise. The main character asked the girl to lie on her stomach and she agreed. One of the observers realized that judging by his confident appearance, he knew what he was doing and he began to wonder if he would really succeed. After the massage began, a classmate asked to pay attention to the fact that the main character, under the pretext of treatment, was groping her. The main character threw him away and asked him not to transfer his dirty thoughts to him. A classmate, meanwhile, did not understand what had just happened to him. Brother Qingran told Lin Haodun that the main character has his own method of treatment, and if he interferes with him, he will throw him out of here. The classmate continued to think that the main character was openly groping her, and her brother was trying not to notice it. After some thought, the classmate told his brother that he was right, and after that he thought that his friend would come and disgrace the main character. After some time, Dr. E came, and when he saw the main character, he asked him to take his hands off the girl, because this way he would only kill her faster. The girl's brother asked the doctor if he was serious when he said that. Lin Haodun said that he was more than serious and suggested that they just look at the strange methods of this idiot who wants to torture Qingran. And besides, a massage cannot cure anyone. Then he began to pull the main character away and asked him to leave here as soon as possible, because otherwise he would kill her. The main character understood that this former classmate of his was actively interfering with him, and it seems that Mr. Qing also believed that doctor. Further, he also realized that if he forcibly treated her, Mr. Qing would stop him. Therefore, he decided to leave some of his energy in her body to stabilize her condition and leave. After him, the doctor approached the girl and inserted needles into her body, beginning treatment with his method. A classmate told the main character that this is how real doctors treat, and he only groped her, but did not cure her. Seeing that the girl had blood in her mouth, Mr. Qing asked the doctor what he did to her. The doctor replied that he himself did not know, because he did ordinary acupuncture. The doctor further said that the main character was to blame for this and that because of him, her condition worsened. Her blood pressure was too weak, and therefore her body could not be manipulated, and he massaged the Guanyuan point. The main character has questions about who this fake doctor is who is harming her. He also understood that there was still a chance to save her, because his energy could not be used anywhere from her body yet. At this moment, the girl's father, Qing Beifeng, arrived, and he was told the current situation for which the main character was accused. The father asked the main character if he had anything to say. He said that he could save his daughter. The father asked if he even understood what he was saying now. The main character said that he would have done this a long time ago if no one bothered him. The father asked if he thought about the consequences of his words. The main character responded positively and said that he was confident in what he was saying. The father said that since he dared to say it to his face, he would believe him once. The main character said that he had a condition, which was that he would have to pay 20,000 bucks. After all, he will not only resuscitate her, but will also cure her illness forever. The father agreed, thinking that he should believe him. After all, he must cling to every chance to save his daughter's life, and he speaks in a very confident tone. The main character approached the girl and realized that if he had not been disturbed, her condition would not have deteriorated so much. Lin Haodun told the girl's father that that guy didn't understand medicine at all, and that he was just playing tricks on him, and that he couldn't be allowed to escape from here. The girl's father said that his people were everywhere in this building, and if he dared to try to escape, he would be shot immediately. Lin Haodun told him that he was very wise. Meanwhile, after his words about being right, he realized that he wouldn't have to get his hands dirty about this guy, because today he would be finished anyway. An hour and a half later, the main character left the room and informed everyone that he had cured her and that they could now come to her. The father came into his daughter's room, hugged her, and told her that he thought he would never see her again. The father told the main character that he was very grateful to him and that from that day on, he was his debtor. The main character said that everything is fine and that his daughter is now alive precisely because he believed in him. Lin Haodun told his father that Dr. Ye should also be thanked, because if not for him, the main character would not have been able to cure her. The girl asked her dad not to believe him because he was a deceiver who was not even going to treat her. She also said that if he had not interrupted the main character with his needles, she would not have been hanging on the brink of death. The doctor told her father that this was not on purpose, because he just wanted to help his daughter. The girl's father asked his people to take this doctor out of the city and make sure that he never saw him in this city again. The main character reminded Lin Haodun that it was he who called this doctor and asked him to tell him for what purpose he brought the swindler here. The girl's brother confirmed his words and said that it was he who called the swindler here because he wanted to kill the girl. One of the guests said that he began to behave suspiciously since he saw Qing Jin, and it was not clear what was on his mind. Another of the guests said that he just wanted to pretend to be rich and influential. Lin Haodun finally realized that these girls changed their shoes at the speed of light. The main character told him that there was no need to do such a stupid act and advised him not to disgrace himself like that again, otherwise he knows what kind of ending awaits him. Lin Haodun told his father that he really didn't do this on purpose because he wanted to help his daughter. Moreover, now she is alive, and the disease does not threaten her. The father reminded that all this was not his merit, and if it were not for the main character, he would not have been able to see his daughter alive again. After his words, he hit the guy very hard. The girl's father also told him that if it weren't for his father, he would have killed him. But in the current situation, he must apologize to his daughter and to the main character. He understood that an apology to the main character would mean the complete destruction of his reputation. But realizing the seriousness of the situation, he still did it. And the main character told him that there was nothing wrong with it, and asked him once again not to do such stupid things again. After this, Lin Haodun thought that the main character would compensate him for today's shame tenfold. At that moment, the system congratulated him for completing the task and receiving a reward in the form of 3 good luck spells and 3 bad luck spells. The main character asked what the other 3 spells of failure were. The system replied that if you stick the spell on a person, his luck level will decrease by 1 month. For using this spell, he will receive a spiritual pill as a gift. The protagonist asked the system to use all 3 failure spells on Lin Haodun. The system complied with his request. Immediately afterwards, he tripped and fell, after which, having smeared himself in food, he stood up and moved on. Those who looked at him at that moment felt very funny. The girl asked if he was really so scared that his legs were shaking from fear. The main character understood that if he had not touched him, he would not have taken revenge on him, but he asked for it himself. Next, the main character told the girl's father that he hoped that no one here would inform others about what happened here today. The girl's father said that he had nothing to worry about, because they promised that they would keep today a secret. The main character thanked him for this, and realized that after all, he was not a doctor, and the system only helped him. Therefore, it would be better if no one knew about his abilities. After all this, he decided that now he could get into the Western world, if only the system would give him a task in it. At this moment, Qing Ran ran up to him and said that she was very grateful to him. He said that it was nothing, and that you shouldn't take his help to heart. He also added that since she had just recovered, she should not subject her body to heavy stress yet. After returning home, he asked her to start eating healthy, eliminating cold foods and eating a variety of foods, to which she agreed. He further said as he left that it was getting late, so it was time for him to leave. He also said that they would see each other again. After some time, the system asked him to go to the heavenly palace and save the flower spirit, for which he would receive a weapon of the highest quality. Questions began to arise in his mind as to what kind of weapon this was of the highest quality, whether it was a golden staff or another sacred weapon. Having chosen to go to the heavenly palace, he landed on the ground and said that he had asked for a softer landing. The system promised to be gentler with him next time. Rising from the ground, he realized that he was not in the heavenly palace, and the question arose in him, what kind of primeval forest this was. The system told him that in the Western world there are 33 heavenly palaces, and each of them has its own worlds. He ended up in the seventh heavenly palace, the Viburnum Palace. He wondered if these were all parallel worlds. Then he realized that it turns out that palaces have the shape of a tower where each floor has its own virtual space. He also told the system that he had already come to save the flower spirit, but there was no one here. He also noticed that even the system turned off at such a dangerous moment, leaving him alone. He then saw the girl and assumed that most likely she was the flower spirit. He also saw that she was fighting with someone who was clearly stronger than her, and realized that an ordinary person would come to an end if he decided to fight such an enemy. But the system brought him here and precisely for the purpose of salvation. The main character asked the system if it was sending him to his death. She replied that since he has her, he is no longer considered an ordinary person. He said that although this is true, he only has a basic level of cultivation, and compared to the flower spirit, he is simply a nobody. The system reported that the task could not be changed, and if he himself had already agreed to accept it, then if he refused the task, the system would no longer give him other tasks. After that, he asked the system what kind of monster it was. The system replied that it was a steel wolf with a Lingji level at stage 9. The main character asked if this was not the same monster who, judging by the legends, was the only one who was able to deceive the master students and made Sun Wukong himself cry. For the Monkey King, this monster would be a bug in his opinion. The wolf asked Malva why she decided to attack him today, because they lived in peace for 500 years and did not interfere with each other. Malva asked the wolf how his conscience allowed him to say that they did not interfere with each other. After all, a couple of days ago she was supposed to raise her level, but he prevented her from doing so. The wolf said that if she raised her level, she would absorb all the spiritual energy, and he would have to replenish it for hundreds of years. He also asked if she thought that in such conditions, he would be able to raise his level, because her failure was an opportunity for him. Malva said that he would answer for choosing to fight her at such an important time for her, and anyone who interferes with her will die. The main character asked the system if she was sure that he should save this mad girl, because if this is so, he needs 5 diamond power spells and 5 stealth spells, and a lightning spell would not be out of place. He understood that he had to be well prepared against such a strong enemy, and if he didn't save her, he would lose his reward, and moreover, would be stuck here. Seeing that Malva was indeed already in danger, the main character used 3 lightning spells and 5 diamond power spells against the wolf. Further approaching the girl, the main character told the system that he saved the flower spirit and asked what to do next. The system opened a portal. Waking up in his bed, he had a question about why Malva was transferred to his world with him. The system congratulated him on completing the task and gave him a sharp eye as a reward. Having accepted the award, the main character felt as if he had been blindfolded with gauze. The system reported that the next task would begin in 15 days. He agreed with this and decided to find out for now what kind of sharp eye it was and whether it was the same eye as it was described in the legends. Looking with those sharp eyes, he realized that the Monkey King could easily detect evil spirits and distinguish good from evil. In addition, he realized that he now had the ability to see through objects. Seeing the girl, he remembered that he had completely forgotten about her recently and asked the system how he should manage her now. Having seen the answer from the system that it could not interfere in such matters and that he could dispose of it as he pleased, he said that this was not what he meant. He further told the system that he is a decent man, so he will not take advantage of this situation for such things. He also decided that he needed pills of immortality, snow-white skin, flesh, and the return of the soul. He didn't know if the pills would help her, but he decided he should try it anyway. Having let her use all this, he saw the result and realized that this was still a good medicine, because with its help, her severe injuries healed instantly. Seeing further that she woke up and decided to kill him, he told her that he cured her, and that he was not her enemy, but only the person who gave her medicine and nothing more. She calmed down, thanked him, and asked what this place was and why she was here. He said his name and added that he travels to different worlds, and when he wandered through her world, he saw her lying unconscious, so he took her to his world, which is called Planet Earth. She said her name and thanked her again for saving her. He asked her if she had always lived in that forest. She replied that for as long as she could remember, she had always lived there. She further said that at some point a large and stupid wolf appeared and wounded her. Previously, he could not defeat her, but a couple of days ago he stopped her from raising the level and taking revenge on him. She also said that it was good that he was there and saved her in time because she could have died. Meanwhile, Hai Bingshu's subordinate treasured that they looked for this girl from the photo all over the country, but they never found it. She went on to ask if it was possible that she had used Photoshop. The director replied that this cannot be because a face can be photoshopped, but this temperament is definitely impossible to fake. She feels that she definitely exists. After this, the director said that they needed to ask their people to do a detailed study of the protagonist's environment. The subordinate agreed to begin executing the order. After her subordinate left, she thought that if she exists, then she must find her. Meanwhile, Malva approached the camera and asked the main character what this thing was. He replied that this is a video camera that he uses for filming and which can capture any event. Then he showed the phone and said that it was also suitable for this and that it was even more convenient. When she asked if he could capture her, he answered positively and said that he was very glad that she herself asked him about it. In his thoughts, he understood that he was very lucky because it was quite possible that now he would make a popular video again. He then suggested that we look at what he had already filmed before. She looked primarily not at the video, but at the fact that this rectangle was very mysterious. She said that she saw a little girl there who was locked in a box and asked why she was laughing so joyfully if this was true. He realized that she didn't seem to understand the point of filming. She also added that there are so many interesting things here that she doesn't even want to return to her world. He told her that no matter what, she would have to come back because she was not from this world. The girl said that the flow of ki in her body was disrupted, and if she returned to her world, the steel wolf would immediately kill her. And she also asked him if she could stay here. He had mental questions about whether she really wanted to live in the same dorm room with him, since she had nowhere else to stay. She further asked if he would really not take pity on her and allow the steel wolf to kill her. Without waiting for an answer, she began to cry and asked to return her, since he did not care about her and did not want to take care of her. He said at that moment that she could stay. After that, she was happy and said that she knew that he was the best. At that moment, he noticed that her behavior quickly changed, and he felt as if he was being scammed. Then he began to think that it was too late now and that she needed to find housing. He also remembered that she was from another world and therefore decided that she could not be left alone. She went into the shower and he heard what she was saying about water, which she found very interesting because it can be controlled. When he came to her, he said that it was already late, so it was time to sleep. But she invited him to swim together. He refused and began to leave, mentally reassuring himself that she was a creature from another world and did not understand anything, so he could not think about such things with her. She asked what was wrong with him. He replied that her clothes were wet, so it was better to change them, otherwise she might catch a cold. She used her power to dry herself and her clothes and then asked him if they were dry now. He answered positively, but since she is now in the human world, it is better not to go outside the building in such clothes. Therefore, she should wear what he gave her for now, and tomorrow he promised to buy her new clothes. The next day at noon at the Dongfang group meeting, He Bingshui said that next month there would be a press conference for international products, and if they did not release a new product, their shares would fall and investors would leave. One of those present said that they had already researched all the possible recipes for the products on the market, so a new product needed a new recipe. And in 1 month it is impossible to invent a new recipe. After the meeting, she went to Mr. Tan and asked him to use his free time to analyze the composition of one thing she gives him. He asked what it was. She replied that a friend gave her this pill and said that it helps her stay young. He agreed to this. He further realized that it looked like Miss He was at a dead end. Otherwise, she wouldn't believe it. Meanwhile, she was thinking that she had done a stupid thing by giving Mr. Tan this dummy. But if there really is something unusual in it, then girls all over the world will begin to become fans of their products. The main character, meanwhile, brought Malva past the cafe, and when she asked what it was cooking, he replied that it was lamb kebab. They then came to a women's clothing store, and she began trying on dresses and other different outfits. He asked to try it all on while in the locker room. At that moment, the girls noticed him, and one of them said that she didn't think he liked younger girls. Wang Shui decided to approach him and said that she accidentally met her former henpecked boyfriend. Meanwhile, he told her that he considers her a mercantile ex-girlfriend. She said she didn't think it had such disgusting taste and asked how she could choose such a cheap store. Another asked if this homeless person had enough money to buy clothes even in this store, because after all, the cheapest clothes here cost 50,000 yuan. Malva came out of the locker room at that moment and asked the main character who these two elderly women were and why they stank so much. Wang Shui's friend asked who she called the old man. Wang Shui said that she wears the best perfume in the world, and if she doesn't understand fashion, then she should shut her mouth. The main character said that the perfume smells good, but once it gets on her body, for some reason, it starts to stink. Moreover, according to him, her character is foul and she does not respect others, throwing mud at everyone from her mouth. She angrily asked what he said. He threw one of the rags in her eyes and said that even the best perfume in the world would not cover this stench. While the main character was leaving the store with Malva, Wang Shui asked if it was because of another girl that he was so ready to humiliate her. Outside the store, Malva asked the main character how the earth carries them, because they are ugly people. The main character calmingly asked her to stop being angry with them because they are not worth it. He also added that the more she fights with them, the more it turns them on, so it's better for them to let them bomb and waste their nerves in vain. Then he suggested that we stop talking about such an unpleasant topic and go have something to eat. She happily agreed to this. After that, he went to the dorm room with a bouquet of flowers in which the girl was. In the room, she turned from a bouquet into a girl and rushed at him laughing. He asked her to warn him next time when she turns back into a human. He further realized, as he watched the joyful girl, that it seemed that both humans and female spirits equally liked beautiful things. Seeing that she began to change clothes, he told her that she couldn't do it in front of the guys and that she needed to go to the locker room, or at least to the toilet for this. In the morning, she asked him to wake up. And when he saw her, he asked if she wasn't afraid that he would do something to her, and if she wasn't shy at all. She replied that he saved her life, so she is not afraid that he will do something to her. At this moment, the main character realized that apparently the spirits did not understand anything at all about such things. Hearing further a knock on the door with an announcement about checking the rooms, he realized that if the person in charge of the hostel found a girl in his room, then he would be finished. The girl said that she would open it. He asked her to speak more quietly and generally said that it was better for her to turn into a plant now. She said that her energy flows had not yet been restored, so she would not be able to last long in the form of a plant. He hid her under the blanket and cast an invisibility spell on her and asked her to be as quiet as possible. The watchman opened the door with his key and, upon entering, asked why he had not opened the door for so long since he was already here. He replied that he had just woken up. Meanwhile, the watcher looked around the room. When leaving, the supervisor reminded that since he lives alone in the room, he must follow safety rules and not use prohibited electrical appliances. The main character agreed and said goodbye. After removing the invisibility spell, he asked her to put on clothes so as not to catch a cold. She said that she would not catch a cold, and that on the contrary, she was even hot under the blanket. He said that he did ask, and he further realized that if she didn't get dressed, he would die from something exploding. She said that since he asked her to do it, she would do it. Ms. Tan called the director and said that this pill really has anti-aging properties. He also said that, in addition, they discovered that this pill can keep the skin youthful for 5 years, and if they continue the research, then their company will have a chance of survival. After the conversation, the director realized that the main character had not deceived her and that the rejuvenation pill really existed. She understood that she only helped his family, and he gave her a pill that would cost hundreds of millions of yuan. She even wondered if he really didn't know the value of this pill. But remembering how he gave it, and what and how he said, she realized that judging by his confident face at that moment, he knew the cost of this pill. But where he got it from was unclear to her. Meanwhile, the main character brought Malva to the restaurant and she enjoyed the food she ordered. He told her that if she liked it, she could eat as much as she wanted. He further noted that he bought pills and spells too often, so he had critically few likes left, and therefore needed to come up with an idea for a new video as soon as possible. He understood that if he filmed simple dances, subscribers would get tired of the monotonous content. The girl said that she had soiled the clothes he had recently bought for her and asked what she should do next. He said that the main thing was that she was not burned and they would change her clothes and wash them at home. He also asked her if she could dance. She answered positively. He also asked if she would mind if he filmed her and said that she could ask him anything as a reward. She said that as a reward, she wanted to stay in this world for a couple more days and eat at this restaurant again. After that, he brought her to one of the places and she asked him why they were filming the dance here. He replied that it was spacious and there were hardly any people walking around so she could use magic, and he will add the background later. Having heard about the background, she conjured something and asked to look. He asked what it was. She replied that she could create illusions and that her magic would help save him time. Having shot many videos of girls dancing in different outfits, he realized that his life was finally successful. At that moment, some guy he knew called him and said that he should come to the university as soon as possible because it looked like he was in big trouble. Walking near the director's office, the main character met the director and asked him what happened. The director said that he had finally arrived because everyone was waiting for him. The director then asked what he had done to offend Miss Ching. The main character asked if we were talking about the daughter of the director of Beifeng Group. The director confirmed this. The director added that today she came to their school accompanied by people in suits and said that she was looking for him. The main character asked the director not to worry, because now he will find out everything himself. He opened the door and Ching Ran stood next to it, who told her father that the main character had arrived. The father said that they had not seen each other for a long time. The main character asked the girl's father why he came to him. The director had questions about whether he was scared in vain and whether Mr. Ching came to the main character for a good reason. In addition, it seems to him that they have a very good relationship. Seeing Malva, Ching-ran wondered if the main character had already gotten himself a girlfriend. The director told Mr. Ching that he would leave them. Mr. Ching thanked him for this. The director realized that it looked like the main character was a very difficult guy, since he was able to start a relationship with a business tycoon, and that it was not for nothing that he was their student. Mr. Ching said that next month is Grandpa Ching-ran's anniversary, and that he will be 90 years old. He also told the main character that he wanted to personally thank him for saving the girl. The main character thanked Mr. Ching for the invitation and said that he was honored that he personally came for this. He also promised to come. Ching-ran asked the main character if he had any free time now. He answered this question positively and asked her what happened. She replied that a new pastry shop had recently opened nearby, after which she asked if he wanted to go there with her. Malva responded positively, and the main character also responded positively. Ching-ran asked her father if she could go for a walk. The father answered her question positively. In the pastry shop, Malva asked Ching-ran if there was really something on her face, because she noticed that she was looking at her very intently. Ching-ran asked her in response if she was the protagonist's girlfriend. Malva asked how she could understand her question, because she did not understand any meaning in it. At that moment, the main character approached them and asked what they were chatting about. Malva replied that they were talking about his girlfriend. Ching-ran said that it's just that this miss always goes with him, so she thought that they were dating. The main character said that he and she are just friends and they have nothing more. Ching-ran thought that it was good since they were just friends, because in this case, she still had a chance. Malva said that he saved her life, which is why he became her best friend. Ching-ran said that he also saved her life. She had been seriously ill since childhood, and if it weren't for him, she would have died already. The main character could not even imagine that girls from different worlds would be able to find a common language so quickly, and that it would be so interesting to watch them. Seeing the call from He Bingshu, he accepted it and walked away from the girls. She asked him if he had free time the day after tomorrow. He answered positively. She said that in that case, they would see each other at Dongfang Group. While she was still on the call, he asked her if she could help him with anything else. She asked him what exactly he needed help with. He asked if she knew any realtors. He also said that he wanted to buy a couple of fairly large apartments, one not far from the center so that he could spend time there with his parents, and another one further away, for him alone. He further added that he will soon graduate from university, so he needs to move out of the hostel. In addition, his parents' house is too far away, and he wants to provide them with better living conditions. She replied that she would help him find apartments without any problems, but she was wondering where he got the money for 2 houses. He replied that his videos spread very well, so he received money from them. She said she would help him find housing. After all, he helped her a lot by giving her that pill. He thanked her. She also asked him about that girl, if she still wanted to see her. He replied that there were things going on in her family, so she went to her homeland, and he hasn't contacted her for too long. She asked to be sure to invite her to her if he suddenly contacted her. After all, she still wants to see this unreal beauty with her own eyes. He said that he would try to do it, and thought that he would have a hard time if the queen ended up in this world. After some time, he realized that in just one day he was able to gain 500,000 likes, and the question arose whether the accumulated likes would be enough to buy a training room for a day. In addition, Malva's spiritual wounds had still not healed, and he asked the system if it could use the training room for recovery. The system replied that she could use it, and moreover, there was no need to pay for it, and the time was not limited. The main character asked the system why everything is so expensive for him, but free for others. The system replied that the flower spirit has its own aura and divine power, and it, like the system, has the status of a virtual being. Although it is real, it does not belong to this world, so here it is considered a virtual unit. Seeing Malva with the phone, he asked what she was doing. She replied that she was talking to Ching-ran. He said that it seemed that she quickly adapted to this world and had even learned to use the telephone. He also asked if she was going to return to her world. She replied that her spiritual strength had not yet been restored, and it was very dangerous to return alone, because the steel wolf would kill her. He said he had a training room that he could lend to her. He also promised that in it she would very quickly regain all her strength and become stronger than before. She said that it was with great difficulty that she found 2 friends in this world, and hadn't really tried anything in this world yet, and he was already driving her away. He asked from whom she learned to be so capricious, and said, without waiting for an answer, that he was joking and suggested going to the training room, after which they would talk again. She agreed to this. Opening the portal, he asked her to choose the end time of training after entering. After she left the system, a new task came, which was that she needed to escort the flower spirit to her kingdom and kill the steel wolf. After his consent, The system reported that the passage was already open and that it was beginning teleportation. Once in the primeval forest, he realized that his power was very much inferior to that of the steel wolf. He also understood that he needed to use the spells with pills received from the system, as well as his ingenuity. He used a magic cloud and assumed that if he needed to be killed, then a direct collision with him would make no sense. He also understood that if he was careless, the wolf would kill him with one left hand. The wolf told the main character that he already understood that he dared to return. If it weren't for his attack from behind, he would have chopped both him and Manhwa into pieces long ago. The main character asked the system if it was sure that its task was feasible, otherwise it seemed to him that it wanted to kill him. The system replied that it had only published the task, and he was already deciding how to kill the enemy. The main character asked if there was any benefit in her words. The main character realized that he would have to act on his own, and the first thing he did was use heavenly lightning against the wolf. And the wolf responded by using the dragon's fiery breath, presumably aimed at the main character. The main character asked the steel wolf to at least look at the target before hitting. The wolf asked who he despised, but at some point he flew into the air and did not understand why. The main character asked the stupid wolf who he was looking for. This technique is the main character's signature, which consists in angering the opponent in order to weaken his defense. The wolf asked if he really dared to deceive him, because after that he would definitely destroy him. The main character looked at him and realized that now he was very angry, and anger filled his brain, so now he would begin to act rashly. The wolf asked the main character to fight him face to face. The main character replied that this is exactly what he is doing now. The main character at this moment used his second signature technique, in which he needs to attract the attention of the enemy and attack at the most unexpected moment. The wolf asked to go down to him and come closer. The main character approached and asked the wolf if he really wanted him, a novice in cultivation, to fight with him, an experienced and huge wolf, and whether he was taking him for a fool. This was just the third signature move, in which you need to anger the enemy with conversations. Next, the main character told the wolf that he was completely neglected, and that only the grave would correct him, so he would have to go to the next world. Having used Sacred Exile, he remembered that this was the fourth signature move, in which you need to wait for the moment when the enemy stops resisting and beautifully take the victory. The system congratulated him for completing the task and rewarded him with 3 Sacred Path spells, 3 Red Element pills, Golden Bell spells, and 3 Shapeshift pills. Also receiving something else, the main character asked what it was. The system replied that this is a stone of embodiment, which allows you to show him anything that he imagines. The main character asked how he could use it. The system offered to drip blood on him. After this, the system reported that the task's time had expired, so it opened a portal for its return. Returning to the human world, he realized that he was in some kind of ass. After all, in addition, the phone itself began to make sounds. And this is because he not only connected himself with the system of traveling to the Western world, but also began to lead the lifestyle of a rich man. Both in the real world and in the parallel one, he experiences a pleasant feeling of becoming a stronger person. He even managed to kill the famous monster from a parallel world and take his artifact. However, as he becomes stronger, he increasingly ceases to feel like himself. But at the same time, he was afraid of the moment when he would have to start all over again. At this moment, the system congratulated him on completing the hidden task, and therefore the mainline task is now open for him. In addition, he reached level 16 and received an additional 5 million likes as a reward. He asked what the hidden missions in the main line were. The system responded that it provides hidden tasks, the completion of which depends on his behavior. The system also added that he did not become arrogant and greedy because of the bonuses he received from the system, and still gets along well with people. He replied that he is not a superhero or the savior of the world, so he thinks about the consequences. He asked if she would save him if something happened to him due to arrogance and greed. The system responded positively, and added that he was smart enough and that it was not mistaken in him. The main line was that a certain secret connects the real world with the Western one, and he must reveal this secret. After revealing it, the system promised to reward him with something mysterious. The system also informed him that he must find 5 key artifacts in both worlds, each of which will give him a hint. He told her that he had long known that these 2 worlds were definitely connected by something. He remembered Ching Ran, who is from the real world, but who has cultivator energy, and decided that it seemed that in order to unravel this secret, he needed to start with her family. Meanwhile, Haibing Shue brought the main character to one of the houses and said that this house has a good location, nearby developed infrastructure, beautiful views, and it takes 15 minutes to get to the center by car. She further added that in general, this is a good apartment, and she advises him to take it. He thanked her for her help. On the way from home, she asked him where he got the youth preservation pill. He replied that he had recently returned home, and on the way bought medicine for his father from an old man, and this old man gave him this pill just like that. He further decided that he must find the right moment to tell her everything and dispel all her doubts, while the main character left to park the car after dropping off Miss He. A man approached her and asked if she was still sad because she couldn't come up with a new product for the company. He reminded her that he had already said that if she became his, he would give her one recipe. She hit him and asked him to leave her. He replied that she was a very obstinate lady and asked if she knew how dire the situation was now for her company. He continued to touch her with his hands and said that he would take good care of her if she did not reject him. The main character grabbed his hand and asked him to remove his dirty claws. He asked the main character to let go of his hand. After the main character threw him away, the man decided to strike him back and said that in his entire life no one had ever dared to treat him so rudely. The main character grabbed him by the neck and asked if he was really treating him rudely, because he himself asked him to let go of his hand. Then the main character let him go and said that judging by his suit, he works as a boss somewhere. But even though he is dressed like a man, he behaves like a lousy dog. The main character also said that if his wife finds out that he is pestering girls behind her back, then his future life most likely will not be so pleasant anymore. The man did not understand how he knew that he had a wife, because no one even from his closest circle knew about her. The main character asked not to even try to find out where he learned about his wife, but if he pesters Miss He again, he will no longer coos with him. The man began to run away, telling the main character that he could consider himself lucky. The main character realized that he looked arrogant, trying to prove his authority, but in reality he was just another henpecked man. Miss, he asked the main character what he said to him and why he ran away so scared. The main character replied that he just reminded him of something. She said that he scared her because she thought they would fight and that she had better not anger the Sia family. He asked her not to worry and also said that real gentlemen resolve issues with words and not with brute force. She said that this man's name was Liu Quan and that he was a relative of the authoritative Sia family. His company is under the protection of this family, and they are always secretly causing problems for her. If it were not for the protection of the Sia family, she would have long ago destroyed his company, according to her. He asked her to stop being angry because he would guarantee that he would not pester her again. Arriving home, he realized that he still needed to collect 4 artifacts, and that he only had 3 levels of 72 reincarnations left. At the same moment, Malva came out of the training room and he asked her if she was okay and why she fell. She replied that she was a little too strong when leaving the room. She further added that the training room is simply wonderful because she not only recovered, but also increased her power. After that, he asked her if she could help him. She asked how exactly. He replied that he needed to move to a new house, and there were large rooms, so he wanted to do something interesting and fun with her. He also warned her that she would have to spend a little effort on this if she agreed. She wondered if he was really going to drag her into bed. He confirmed and said that besides, only she could help him with this. She asked him if they were in too much of a hurry because she was not quite ready for this yet. He replied that they were in no hurry because they would do this immediately after the move. She agreed in the end. Arriving at his new home, he began his work. She asked if he really meant it and if it was a fun and interesting activity. He asked her to fight off the attack, but she carried out an explosion instead. She got angry and leaving, suggested that he have fun with himself and not involve her in it. Meanwhile, he didn't understand why she was so angry with him. He caught up with her and asked why she was angry with him and reminded her that nerve cells do not recover. She asked if he even realized his mistake. He confirmed and said that he should not have attacked her with magic and asked her to forgive him. He further added that when he heard that she had recovered, he remembered that he himself was still weak, which is why he wanted to train with her. She said that he should have told her about the training right away, but since he spoke in riddles, she understood everything differently. He asked if that meant she agreed to train with him. She asked if anyone other than her could help him with this. During training, she told him that he was very slow and weak. She also said that he could at least take a hit from her, which wasn't so bad, but he should train more. She also added that for this world his abilities are considered cool, but in a parallel world he would have been killed in a few seconds. At that moment, Bing Shui called and informed him that the youth pill, as well as the important results of its research, had been stolen. He asked her not to panic, because he would arrive now. The main character told Malva that he had very important things to do, so she should wait for him at home until he returns. Along the way, he realized that there was nothing wrong with this, because he could give him another pill. But if it was stolen by competitors, then the damage to the company will be enormous. Arriving at the company and seeing people lying down, the main character asked what happened here. Bing Shui replied that she did not expect this and had already called the police. The man said that these people acted very cruelly. The video surveillance system was destroyed. They left no fingerprints and even took the bullets with them, so there is no evidence here. The main character understood that there was definitely a traitor among them, otherwise they would not have been able to find the pills so quickly, and since they had weapons, then perhaps they hired foreign fighters. That's why they acted very boldly. He further suggested that Bing Shui ask his subordinate to find out which of his competitors had recently left the country. Next, he found a button and asked the system to scan it. The system reported that the emblem on the button was the logo of a group of international hitmen called the Dragon Clan. The subordinate reported that a week ago, the Liu family company invited a group of foreigners from country R under the pretext of an investor meeting. The main character said that those who dared to steal his thing and kill innocent people would pay dearly for it. Meanwhile, someone from the Liu family asked the gentleman if they had already received the thing he needed. Liu Quan asked if it was time for him to sell this thing now to become richer. One of them replied that he suddenly changed his mind, because in his opinion this product is worth $200 million. Liu Quan recalled that they had initially agreed on the price, but now they decided to demand even more. The seller said that if he did not want to buy the product, they would sell it to other people. Liu Quan was angry because he wanted to get the research results now, but they decided to deceive him at the most crucial moment. The main character came to them and told him that he so wanted to get benefits, but in the end he suffered only losses. But God sees everything, so he will pay for his actions. Liu Quan did not understand how the main character was able to get to the 20th floor, because his bodyguards were everywhere. The main character told the killers that he believes that they killed the company employees. The killer looked at Liu Quan and asked him why he was so winced in fear, because only a young brat came to them. He further told the main character that although he does not know how he got here, now he will have to say goodbye to life. They started attacking him, and he told them that they were too easy for him to deal with. Seeing all this, one of the killers said that he must admit that he fights well, but he definitely won't shy away from a gun. But the main character was able to knock him out and approached another killer and asked if he had killed the employees of that company. The killer answered positively and said that they also begged him for mercy before they died. But they were too boring, so he sent them to heaven with one blow. Next, the killer told the main character that although he is a strong fighter, he has never met enemies as strong as him, and he prepared for the blow after his words. The main character turned out to be stronger and said that he was already in the midst of a battle, but he allowed himself to be distracted without realizing how weak he was in comparison. When the killer asked him for mercy, the main character asked if he killed those workers when they asked him for mercy. The killer said that if he dared to kill him, the Black Dragon clan would take revenge on him. The main character asked why he was so sure that he would get his hands dirty on him. The main character further realized that it turns out that this bad energy was controlling him. But where he got the energy from the parallel world was unclear to him. Liu Quan realized that the main character was definitely not a person, because otherwise it was impossible to argue that he was able to defeat this thug with his bare hands and a needle. The main character approached him and asked if he wanted to try too. He replied that he was guilty and that he should not have plotted anything against him, so he deserved to die. He also told the main character that he already had the youth pill they stole, so he asked to be released. The main character asked him if he really wanted to get off so easily and hoped that he would let him go. At that moment, Bing Shui arrived, to whom he gave the documents and asked to see if everything was in place. She looked and confirmed that everything was in place, after which she thanked him. The main character began to leave and said that since she had everything in place, she could solve the rest of the issues herself. While already at home, the main character continued to have questions about where an ordinary person got ominous energy from a parallel world, and besides, he remembered that Qing Ran also has the energy of another world. He further realized that it seemed that the connection between the worlds existed long before his system appeared. At that moment, the system informed him that within 3 days, he must find an artifact of the Shadow Star's charm, after finding which he will receive a new task. The system also warned that he must remember that he has 3 days to complete this task, and that if the task is not completed, the system will write off half of the likes from his account. He said that this was too much because she only showed him the outline of this necklace, and 3 days is too little because he does not know where to go in search of this Shadow Star necklace. Malva heard and did not understand what was happening to the main character today, because since yesterday evening he had been kind of angry, and now he had also started talking to someone. Then she decided it was better to wait until his mood improved and ask later. After 2 days, she approached him and informed him that Qing Ran had invited them to visit her. She also said that today a pleasant event might happen at a party that he was not expecting. He agreed. While visiting, he asked Qing Ran if everything was fine with her health. She replied that thanks to him, she no longer had any symptoms. The main character noticed that after healing, the energy in her body began to flow like a stormy stream. He realized that before her energy seemed to be locked by some kind of lock. The system added that her energy flow was completely renewed due to her recovery. Another strange thing was that the other family members had no traces of spiritual energies. Just as he began to suspect that she was a demi-deity, she informed him that they would be going to her room for tea a little later, and that she wanted to show him something. Arriving a little later in the room, Malva said that it was beautiful. Ching-ran told her that she was exaggerating it. The main character said that he thinks that he, being a guy, should not interfere with the privacy of his best friends, but Ching-ran insisted on his entry. Sitting at the table, the main character remembered that he would soon run out of time to complete the task, but he never found a single clue. At this moment, Ching-ran told him that she heard from Malva that he was looking for the Shadow Star Charm necklace. The main character confirmed this and said that he never found any information about him. She said that she just had this very necklace that he was looking for. When he saw the necklace, he realized that it was very similar to the image that the system showed him, but he couldn't understand where she got this artifact from. He asked the system to check it, and the system reported that this was it, and that it eliminates any dark energy and has powerful healing properties that heal any wounds. He understood that this was the same thing, because the name and appearance of the necklace coincided. But it belongs to Ching-ran, and if he directly tells her that he needs it, it will be rude to her. But she asked him to take it, because Malva told her that he had been tormented for 2 days looking for this necklace, and since he needed it so much, he could take it. He said that it was too expensive. She said that she still has all sorts of beautiful jewelry, and they are no worse than this necklace. Therefore, he can safely take it for himself. Malva said that they are friends, so they should help each other. The main character realized that this task was too easy, and all this was thanks to these girls. The system reported that the task was completed successfully and that it would publish a new task soon. After this, the system asked him to return to the land of the maidens and calm the queen. He wondered if something had happened to her again. He further informed Malva that he would need to go away on business for a long time, about half a month. Ching-ran said that he could leave, and Malva could stay at her house. She promised to take good care of her. Malva asked if she really could live with her. Ching-ran responded positively. While they were hugging, he understood that now there was no need to worry about Malva, so he could calmly go to the country of the maidens. After landing in the sky pool, the protagonist told the system that it treated him cruelly every time and asked if it was taking revenge on him for something. The system said that next time it will do it more carefully. The queen said that she should be the one to say these words to him, but he had already said them first. When she grabbed him, he told her that he was not doing this on purpose and suggested that they talk calmly. He also noticed that she was wet and that she needed to change her clothes quickly, otherwise she would catch a cold. She said she didn't believe he cared about her health. After all, he promised her to return soon. Throwing him into the pool, she suggested counting how long he had not appeared here. He further suggested that it was better to hurry back to the palace, otherwise she would catch a bad cold. He understood that although this queen was different from the queen from the book Journey to the West, he no longer needed to anger her over and over again. At Ching-ran's house, the servant said that this necklace was very important to her, and although it saved her life, it was not worth giving this thing to an ordinary person. Ching-ran said that he completely cured her and asked if she really thought that he was an ordinary person. According to her, his girlfriend is also not at all ordinary. Plus, he left it at her house, which means he's not afraid of her finding out their secret. She said that she thought that he also knew that there was a lot of spiritual energy in her body. She also added that Dad had spent too much effort over the years to find Mom. He did everything in his power, but it did not yield results. The servant asked if she wanted to say that the main character can go to a parallel world, and whether this means that he has the opportunity to find his mistress. She replied that this could very well be the case. Meanwhile, the queen told the main character that a couple of days ago, the inhabitants of the country, who drank water from the mother lake, began to feel fever and pain in their muscles. Doctors tried all sorts of medications, but this only alleviated the symptoms. Then she sent people to the mother lake, but it turned out that it dried up overnight and no one could find out the reason. The main character asked her not to worry because she has him. He also promised her to make every effort to solve this problem. Next, he asked the system to help him investigate the cause of the drying up of the mother lake and provide a ready-made solution to the problem. The system reported that the reason was that someone poured umu poison into the river. In order to return the water to the lake, you need to head to Mount Dulin and find the spiritual mountain flower. The system further added that if he gives her 2 million likes, she will immediately deliver him this flower. He considered this a robbery, but the system reported that the mountain topography creates many dangers and that the flower is guarded by monsters. The main character told the queen that tomorrow he needs to go to Dulin Mountain. She asked if he knew what this place was. She further said that few people return from there alive, so no one even dares to approach this mountain. The main character said that to solve the problem with the lake, he must go there and promise to return from there safe and sound. She said she would go with him. He insisted on going there alone and reminded her that she was a queen and asked what the people should do if something happened to her. She replied that that was why she had to go with him, because she was a queen and had to do it for the sake of her people. She asked not to dissuade her from this. Moreover, if something happens to him, then she will feel guilty about it, according to her. He agreed to go with her and said that after all, she also has magic and it would be easier for the two of them. They came to the mountain and the system reported that the flower was in the cave and also warned again about the danger. They went inside and he told her that it was very dangerous here, so she should stay behind him, because he would protect her. He also asked them not to forget to look behind them, but then they saw that there were a lot of pestering creatures even at the top. She said that she could handle them all and suggested moving on. He eventually realized that he promised to protect her and screwed up so quickly. Seeing the flower, the main character realized that this was the same flower that the system was talking about, and it also warned that it would not be so easy to get it. Seeing the beast, the queen said that it was because of him that no one returned from here alive. The monster asked them not to even dream of obtaining a spiritual flower. The main character asked why fight right away because they could agree. The queen said that this beast is huge and fast, so it can easily kill them. The main character said that they were unlikely to be able to escape, so he would test his recent achievements in cultivation. Seeing that the main character did not succeed, the queen took out something and said that in her hands was the amulet of the country of maidens. But seeing that this did not give any result, the main character decided to use the stone of incarnation. Transforming his weapon into a shadow wolf spear, the protagonist said that they must get to his heart in order to deliver a fatal blow. The queen asked where the heart could be in such a huge body. The monster said that even if he found his weak point, he still would not defeat him. Using his golden pupil, the main character asked the queen to lift the barrier for a while, because he wants to use his spiritual power. She agreed to this. After some time of battle, the main character killed the monster and was still able to get to the flower. Next, she approached him and said that she didn't think he could fight so well. He told her that she was overpraising him, because he was able to kill the monster only because they worked together, and now, according to him, they can save the country of maidens. After that, something moved him somewhere, and when he woke up, he saw that he was tied up, and the very first thought he had was about Egyptian power. He also had a question. Could it really be a Scorpio? The system reported that his guess was correct. He asked what other guess was, and asked him to help him get out of here. The system reported that the girl's magical power is very powerful, so it does not advise resisting it. He told the system that he knows this, and that's why he asks it to help him. The girl approached him and said that judging by his reaction, he already knew her. He told her that she was beautiful, like a goddess, and that she could not be ignored. Meanwhile, he felt a strong, evil aura. Having discovered that at such a critical moment the system abandoned him again, he decided to act on his own and hoped that he would be able to escape from such a powerful sorceress. He also understood that if she caught him again, he would die a more painful death. He decided that since he could not fight her, he would have to use soft power. He further remembered that the legend said that the Scorpion Queen dragged the Tang monk into Peepa's cave to do indecent things with him, but now she dragged him here. He also thought that although he is not in the real legend, and she is not the same Scorpion Queen from history, but judging by her actions, he really will have to do something with her. She said that she really wanted to spend this wonderful night and asked to make it hers. He mentally understood that he was not a Tang monk, and since he was still young, he had not done so much yet. After some thought, he asked to wait and said that they didn't know each other yet and suggested that they first get to know each other better. After all, it's still not decent to sleep with strangers. She asked him if he really meant to say that he wanted to sleep with her only after the wedding. He confirmed this and added that usually such matters are dealt with after the wedding because it would be more correct. He reminded him that she had tied him up and moreover, she was very strong and he would not be able to escape. After that, he asked if she could untie him so that they could chat over drinks and then everything would start on its own. She said that he was right, and during the untying, he thought that it looked like he was succeeding in deceiving her, and then he decided that after the untying, he needed to think about how to escape. He thought that most likely the queen from the land of maidens was worried about him, and at the same moment the Scorpion Queen asked him not to forget that he was now on her bed. She changed her mind about untying him and asked how he dared to think about another woman, after which she said that she knew that men could not be trusted. He asked how she knew this. She replied that she felt it, and that now she even knows which girl he was thinking about. At that moment, he felt better, at least from the fact that she didn't read thoughts, but only felt. She went on to say that it looks like he loves her too much if he still dares to think about her. However, tonight he will become hers. He wondered if he would really die here. But at that moment, the queen from the land of maidens came and said that she did not think that she would meet a real monster here. She also added that she had already slipped to the point of forcibly dragging strangers into bed. The Scorpion Queen told the Maiden Queen that since she dared to spoil all her plans, then she must pay for it. Finding himself in the arms of the Queen of the Country of Maidens, the main character told her that he had been waiting for her. She said they needed to leave. The Scorpion Queen did not want to let them leave, and while they were running away, she attacked them in every possible way. The main character asked to untie the Queen of the Country of Maidens. She untied him, and the Queen of Scorpions came up at that moment and said that she wanted to see what skills the man whom the Queen of the Country of Maidens had chosen had, and she found charm and courage in the main character. She further said that now it is not surprising to her that it was he who was able to melt her cold heart. But if the Queen does not die, then she will definitely not interfere with them, according to her. She surrounded them with her scorpions, and the Queen of the Land of Maidens asked him to be careful because they are very poisonous. At some point, she fell to the ground, and he decided to fall after her and check what happened. He saw the wound and began to get up. The Scorpion Queen advised him not to resist, and it was better to give up, because this poison could kill even a horse. She also added that even if she has a hardened steel body, she will still feel hellish pain. But if she is an ordinary person, then in less than 6 hours, she will die. The main character understood that her magical power was very great, and the Queen lost consciousness from injury, and if he continued to fight with her, he would suffer huge injuries. She further added that now no one will interfere with them, and if he obeys her, then she will leave the corpse of his queen intact. He told her that she was not charming enough to bend him. She attacked him after these words and realized that either she had gone too far with the attack, or he had used a moving technique. Then she leaned more towards the option that he deliberately angered her so that she would attack him, and seizing the right moment, ran away. The main character understood that it was dangerous, but he had to take the risk, because he did not think that he would be able to deceive her. Then he remembered that there was not much time, and therefore he needed to return the queen to the palace as soon as possible. He eventually returned the queen to her chambers and began to make every effort to cleanse her body of poison because she was seriously wounded and her vitality was leaving her. He further remembered the Shadow Star Charm necklace, which has healing properties. He asked the system if this necklace could cleanse the queen's body of poison. The system replied that it could, and that it was enough to just put it around the queen's neck. However, it is important for completing the task and will only work one time. The system also added that if he uses its healing properties, then this necklace will turn into an ordinary decoration without its inherent magical functions. The main character decided to abandon the task and save the life of the queen, who was ready to sacrifice herself for him. She woke up and asked what was wrong with her. He replied that they were able to escape from that cave and that he had already cleansed her body of the poison, so she needed to rest. She said that the venom of the Scorpion Queen is very persistent, and she is very interested in how he removed it. He replied that for him, it was nothing. She asked how their battle in the cave ended. He replied that the best strategy was to run away, and asked whether it was bad to run away when the enemy was stronger. She replied that knowing her character, she would not leave them alone, and asked what they should do now. He asked her not to worry because he knew how to solve this problem. He also added that he has an idea on how to completely destroy it. He moved to the lunar palaces, and Chang'e asked if he really wanted to go to the light palace to find the star spirit. He confirmed and said that a Scorpion Queen had appeared in the Land of Maidens, and only he could drive her out. He added that he just didn't know if he could find it, and thought that in the legend, the Monkey King found the star spirit only after receiving instructions from Guanyin Bodhisattva. She told him that she would like to take him to the Bright Palace, but she was not allowed to leave this place, and also said that there were guards everywhere around the lunar palaces, and an alarm would sound if no one remained here. He asked her not to worry about it because he had one idea. After that, he changed the appearance of a rabbit to her appearance and said that if someone replaces her, then the lunar palaces will not be empty. He went on to say that before they returned, her animal would have to spend a little time in her form. He understood that he had not yet fully mastered the technique of 72 transformations, so it would take no more than an hour, but since Chang'e knew the path, this should be enough. Meanwhile, the Queen of the Country of Maidens heard her servants talking about how this doctor was simply magnificent, because he and the Queen saved the lake and was also able to remove the poison of the Scorpion Queen. However, according to one of the maids, he had to use one magical thing to cure the Queen. She also said that such poison is almost impossible to expel from a person's body, and that she heard the doctor say that he had an important choice to make, because that magical thing was very important to him. Another maid said that since he chose to save the queen by destroying the magical properties of this important thing, it means that he is a very good man. Changi brought the main character to the Bright Palace, and he said in front of the gate that he was the minister of the country of maidens, and that recently they were attacked by the Scorpion Queen, dragging Pipa into the cave, and asked for help in protecting the people of the country of maidens. He also added that his queen told him that he could help them get rid of the Scorpion Queen, so he came to them with this request. The Bodhisattva told the main character that since he asked him, he would go with him to destroy the Scorpion Queen. The main character came to the Scorpion Queen, and she came out to him and said that last time she deliberately allowed him to escape, but did not expect him to return so soon. After which she asked him if he really missed her already. He said that he would not chat with her for a long time because he came to her in order to kill her. She told him that with his current cultivation there was nothing he could do. He said he would try. She said that he was a very handsome and interesting boy, so she was ready to forgive him. But apparently he wants death too much since he provokes her, and therefore she will let him die. The main character asked if she could aim first and hit later. After all, even with a low level, he easily dodges her attacks. And if this is so, it means she has lost her form. She went on to say that it looked like he wouldn't calm down until he lay in the coffin and definitely wanted to die. He realized that it was dangerous because she almost completely burned his butt. She asked him where his courage had gone and why he was only running away from him now. He told her that he simply does what he likes best. The star spirit Anzi bent over her and asked the impudent evil spirits to immediately surrender. The star spirit further said that he had imprisoned her spirit in this ball, which he could keep for himself. The main character thanked for the help. At that moment, he realized that he had finally solved this problem, and it was good that he had read Journey to the West and remembered the plot of this book, so he knew everything in advance. Returning to his chambers in the land of maidens after all this, he thought that although he had greatly increased his cultivation with the help of the local aura during the time spent in the parallel world, he had not made a video for too long. Moreover, he had never found a way to activate the Shadow Star necklace again, and the system disappeared at the most inopportune moment. He decided that he would have to see for himself whether he could buy something for the likes, and a little later look for a way to restore the necklace. At that moment, there was a knock on his door and said that the queen wanted to see him. Arriving at the queen, he asked her why she called him at such a late time. When she turned around and showed her anger, he asked what was wrong with her and wondered if she was angry because he had not yet told her that he had destroyed the Scorpion Queen. He further said that today he destroyed the Scorpion Queen and that it was his fault for not reporting it immediately. She asked him to tell him exactly how he cured her. He replied that he used energy to drive out this poison and then the medicine also helped. She asked if he really didn't want to tell her the truth even now. After that, she added that being the queen, she not only put him in danger, but also caused him problems. She said that she knew that in order to save her, he lost something important to him. He replied that her life was more important to him than any artifact, so there was no need to blame himself. He further added that he had already figured out how to restore this thing, but for this he needed her help. She said that since he saved the entire country and her life, she was even ready to go down into the sea of fire to help him. He said that everything is not so serious, because she only needs to take part in the filming. She said that she agreed to this only out of gratitude, and she was not going to do this again. After a few photos, he asked her to change a couple more outfits and shoot a video. She understood that although she did not know why he needed it, she was happy to help him. A day later, he realized that he had only passed a day, and the video had already received 500,000 likes. He also realized that it seemed like everyone liked to look at beauties, because a huge number of people liked the video. The system reported that the effect of the necklace could be restored, but this would require celestial energy and several top-level masters. His level is quite low by the standards of the system right now, so he won't be able to do anything even if he breaks through several levels. He asked if it was really possible to repair the necklace, but it didn't happen to him. The system confirmed this and said that this was why it warned him that it could only be used once. At that moment, the queen came to him and asked if he had found a way to restore his artifact. He replied that it seemed he was mistaken about how easy it would be to restore it. She asked what it looked like and if he could show it to her now. Taking the necklace in her hands, she told him that she had read about it in a book. She also added that in that book, it was said about a colored drawing on the wall in the Cave of 1,000 Clouds, and it was on it that this amulet was painted. He wondered if the artifact the system had sent him for was really in the Cave of 1,000 Clouds, and could there really be any clues for it in this cave? The queen also said that the Cave of 1,000 Clouds is filled with a lot of energy, and before the entrance to the cave there is a soul restoration pond. She further added that the contact of spiritual water with the artifact is enough, after which it will restore its original appearance. He asked if there really were celestial energies there. She answered positively. She also said that she had never been there and just read about this place in a book. Although she is not sure that this pond will help him restore the artifact, she has no other ideas. He realized that perhaps the amulet on the wall of the cave was painted for a reason, and that perhaps by visiting this cave he could find a clue about other artifacts. After some thought, he said that he was ready to move there tomorrow. Meanwhile, at the Ching family's house, Ching-ran showed Malva the protagonist's account in TikTok. She further said that she had just watched one video, then went to the author's page and found a video of her on his page. Malva took the phone and after watching the video said that this was the same video that the main character filmed a long time ago. After that, Malva returned the phone and asked why she was so happy, because she didn't find anything interesting on his channel. Ching-ran said that last night he posted a video of a girl she had never seen, plus she's incredibly beautiful. Malva asked what she said and who the other girl was. Ching-ran showed her video. Seeing this, Malva got angry and said that he had left on important business and had been gone for half a month. Meanwhile, he finds himself hanging out with beauties. Ching-ran asked her not to be angry and suggested that she interrogate him thoroughly when he returns. She agreed. Outside the land of the maidens, the protagonist sneezed, and the queen asked if he had caught a cold because he slept without a blanket. He replied that perhaps someone was remembering him now. After that, she realized that although she had known him for a very long time, she still did not know anything about his country. They eventually came to the pond, and he said that this was the same pond she was talking about. She confirmed this. Having tried to restore the amulet, he said that it did not work, and that spiritual water alone would not be enough. And at that moment he realized that it looked like the amulet could only be repaired the way the system said, and for this he would have to look for experienced cultivators. He remembered that Malva, Chang'e, and the queen had cultivation, but he didn't understand how to bring them together. Just as they were about to leave, a monster emerged from the water, clearly not happy to see them. A girl came out of the mouth of this monster and said that the hated people dared to break into her territory. The main character said that it seemed like he had come to a good place. After all, it seems to him that this is not exactly her territory, and that she is holding captive the real owner of this place, considering his territory to be hers. The queen suggested first tearing out the monster's hearts and then killing her. The main character agreed to this. The main character looked through the golden pupil and said that this monster has no heart. The queen asked if it could be separate from the body if it was not in it. The main character replied that he did not know this. The main character also said that if you don't find her weak point, then it will be useless to fight her. The girl asked if they really wanted to find her weak spot and if they were joking now. After the battle, the girl concluded that the queen of the country of maidens is not as simple as she seems. The queen further said that before he attacked them again, they should flee from here. They managed to escape, and the girl told the monster that they still wouldn't catch up with them, so it was time for them to return. Having run some distance, the main character said that they were safe for now, and he regrets that at the most decisive moment the artifact did not want to transform. She asked if it could be due to toxic fumes. He replied that he could, because he had noticed something strange. She could easily have caught up with them, but she did not give chase. The queen confirmed that the monster did not run after them, but returned to the pond. Therefore, it is quite possible that they are hiding something there. The main character said that they should wait for the right moment and attack, catching them by surprise. Next, he gave her a swimsuit, which she put on and asked why she had to swim underwater half naked. She also asked why he was dressed normally. He replied that he designed the design of these clothes according to her sizes and asked not to look at the fact that there was little material in them, because the work on them was serious. In addition, according to him, he designed this swimsuit according to the laws of physics in order to increase her speed underwater. Therefore, this swimsuit is the best option for him now. She said he could think that by agreeing to the swimsuit, she was thanking him for saving her life. Next, she found the main character's camera in the bushes and asked him what he was doing here. The main character said that he had already forgotten that he had lost it. She asked him if he specially made such a swimsuit for her in order to secretly film her. He answered in the negative. She beat him a little, and he began to ask for forgiveness and promised not to do it again. As he plunged under the water, he noticed something and concluded that everything was exactly as he thought. They emerged in a cave, and the main character finally saw what this place looks like. Approaching some steps, the queen saw something at the top and said that it seemed that this was exactly the thing that the three-headed snake was protecting. The main character asked if this vile mistress of the three-headed monster was holding the little girl captive. The queen asked the girl what she was doing alone in such a strange place. The owner of the three-headed snake told them that they were great for finding this place. She further added that if she had known that they were so stubborn, she would have killed them immediately. After some time of fighting, the queen approached the main character and asked if he was okay. He replied that he was intact. The snake asked the main character if he really wanted to steal her treasure. The main character asked who told her that he wanted to steal it, because it is much easier to ask her little sister to just give it to him. The snake suggested that the girl try because she wanted to see if she had the courage to give up the treasure. She brought a three-headed serpent and said that now her life is in her own hands. If she gives the ball to people, she herself will die. And if, according to her, she does not want to die, then she must give it to her now. After all, then she will think about whether she should be spared. The queen said that the owner of the three-headed snake, in her opinion, is very vile and vile. The main character asked the queen not to worry, because he believes that the girl will definitely make the right choice. The girl said that she is very afraid of death, but she understands that she will die in any case, so she wants her death to at least not be meaningless. As a result, they managed to kill the owner of the three-headed snake and survive. The main character told the girl that, in his opinion, this thing that the owner of the three-headed snake had was important for her, so he returned it to her. Having received the ball, the girl activated it and turned into the guardian of the Cave of 1,000 Clouds, Hua Yin. She then suggested that they all go outside and talk outside. On the ground, she told them that she was guarding the Cave of 1,000 Clouds and was waiting for the owner of the red cloud to appear. According to her, anyone who dispels the spell of the red cloud could become the owner. One day, a three-headed snake rushed into her, but his mistress could not dispel the spell of the red cloud. She became angry and placed a curse on her, and also ordered her to guard her life crystal. The main character said that judging by the stories, she is too cruel, and asked how she thought of giving her heart to the person she had locked up in captivity. Guardian Hua Yin replied that she forced her to put her energy into her crystal, which made her stronger. The main character remembered the system's task to search for 5 artifacts in reality and in a parallel world, and he suggested that the red cloud could be just one of them. The guard asked if they were looking for a spiritual artifact here, since they came here. The queen replied that it seemed so. The main character did not expect that, acting almost blindly, he would be able to obtain as many as 3 artifacts. The guard said that, in that case, they could go with her. However, whether they will be able to pick it up or not depends only on their skills. 1,100. They approached a door, and the main character realized that it looked like this place was very dangerous. After passing through the door, the guard said that in order to get to the red cloud, they need to go through traps. The main character said that they would take a risk and went. The guard only wished them good luck. At some point along the way, they encountered a huge stone moving straight towards them. Seeing it, the main character realized that it was as dangerous here, just like in the Indiana Jones movie. The queen decided to destroy it, but at some point she realized that this stone was similar to the stone of a sleeping tiger, which was not so easy to destroy. The queen could not destroy it, and said that it was getting closer and closer, and they had nowhere to hide. The main character said that he had an idea. After that, he moved on to action and said that since this stone cannot be broken, then it is possible to throw it up. After successfully throwing the stone, the queen praised him, and he said that he simply used his knowledge of physics and offered to continue on his way. Seeing what looked like a red cloud ahead, the main character said that if he was not mistaken, then after going through the tests, he would be able to pass through its protective barrier. The queen said that it seemed that there was something written on the stone that she saw. And it was written there that the deity of the red cloud left here a relic that the chosen one could receive. And the chosen one is the one who has passed the tests. Next, the main character said that it seems that now he will have to explore this panel. After all, most likely, he needs to step on squares that will be highlighted, and if he makes a mistake, he will be fried by fire. Having stepped on 4 squares, the 5th one lit up, and he wondered if everything could really be so immoral. At that moment, the queen helped him, and in the meantime, he was ready to say goodbye to his happiness. Then they pressed all the illuminated squares, and at one point the queen asked not to misunderstand this. After all, this is just to pass the test. The main character asked if this test really needed a lot of people. She replied that they had already passed it, since the barrier had disappeared. Taking the relic in his hands, the main character felt a huge surge of strength. Then enemies began to crawl towards him, and he remembered that he had just wanted to test this sword. During the battle, the main character realized that the red cloud has 2 forms. The first form is called the red hilt, which is more accurate and faster, but also more vulnerable. In addition, it accumulates energy with each blow. After defeating the stone warriors, he realized that they were too weak. But a little later, he felt an earthquake. Seeing a stronger enemy, he decided to use another form in the form of a cloud axe. Having defeated this enemy, the main character realized that having taken possession of this sacred weapon, he now no longer needed to use the Stone of Incarnation in battle. He was only sorry that his level was still too low, and that he could not fully demonstrate the power of this weapon. The queen said that since they passed the tests and he received the weapon, then they could return to the country of the maidens. Seeing that they returned safely without a single scratch, the guard praised them. The main character also said that he needed to gather several cultivation masters to restore the Shadow Star Charm necklace, and he asked the guard if she could help him, being a very strong master. She replied that since she was very grateful to him, of course she would help him. Already in the courtyard, he remembered that Chang'e cannot leave his palace yet. Now he has a queen, Malva, and Hua Yin, but it turns out that he is missing one person. The queen approached him and asked if he was still thinking about restoring the amulet. After that, she also added that everything was ready in the spiritual pond. All that remained was to gather people. He answered positively and said that he did not know where he could find a strong master. The queen suggested that he try to find people with a basic level who could contribute their strength while restoring the amulet. The main character hugged the queen and said that she was his savior. After all, it was thanks to her that he remembered Qing Ran, who has the energy of a cultivator. He further said that he would now quickly return to his world for her. She asked to go with him because she just doesn't have anything to do right now. They crossed over to the human world together, and while he was dialing the number, the queen asked whose portrait it was with a familiar face. He asked her if she knew about Qing Ran. She answered in the negative and added that she had never heard this name. She said that just looking at her, she thought that she had seen her somewhere a long time ago, and she even had the feeling that she was her old sister. After she accepted the call, he asked her if she had time for the next couple of days. She answered positively. He asked her to take Malva with her and get together tonight. They gathered and he invited them to talk about daily matters and began to talk about the current situation. After 20 minutes, Malva said that she would help him without any problems, but Qing Ran was not from a parallel world. Qing Ran said that although it's hard for her to believe it, the main character can't lie, because her energy has been bothering her since childhood. She also added that she hated her because of the suffering she brought her. However, if she can use it for his benefit, then she is ready to accept it. At that moment, the main character realized that if it weren't for the right place and time, she would no longer be with them. After he thanked her, she said that she could not accept his gratitude because she herself would be grateful to him all her life. The queen told her that ever since she saw her portrait, she wanted to ask her a question. She asked what portrait we were talking about. The main character replied that she said that about her avatar. Next, the queen asked her if she knew the painting goddess, Danking. Malva asked how this was possible, since she had secluded herself in the Kunlun Mountains for 300 years and still had not come out. Qing Ran asked if we were talking about the goddess of painting, whose name is Zhang Danqing. Malva asked if she really knew her. She replied that she was her mother. This did not seem very surprising to the main character, because the system said that their worlds were connected. The queen asked if, in this case, she could tell where her mother was now because she was her old friend. Qing Ran asked if this question could be answered another day, because now they need to help the main character as quickly as possible. The protagonist told the queen that perhaps Qing Ran didn't want to mention her family history, so it was better not to interrogate her now. The queen agreed. The queen realized that everything happened as she thought because two strangers cannot be so similar. Next, the main character asked Malva whether her body had recovered to this point. Malva answered his question positively and said that she was completely fine. The main character asked Qing Ran to immediately tell him if she felt uncomfortable. She agreed. The main character then activated the portal and said that they would now go to that world. In the parallel world, at the exit, they were so high that they immediately began to fly towards the ground. The queen, with the help of her power, softened the landing of herself and the main character, after which she told him that everything had already passed. Next, they saw Malva using her levitation to save Qing Ran. Malva went on to say that she thought they didn't pay for the coffee. But they really didn't pay for it, and the waiter approached the table and wondered where his money was. But they did not return and pay, but decided to go to the lake. At some point, Qing Ran approached something that interested her, and was surprised, saying that this was the first time she had seen such large spiritual stems. Malva said that it is better not to touch them, because they are dragon droppings, which serve as fertilizer for the spiritual stem. Arriving at the lake, the main character announced that they had returned. The guard said that she was ready to start at any time. The main character asked if it was her fault that the water in the lake became very clean. She confirmed and said that her responsibility was to protect this place. Next, he introduced her to his friends, namely Malva and Qing Ran. The guard said that her name was Hua Yin and that she protects this lake. Malva asked Qing Ran if she could release the energy. Qing Ran said that she seemed to have used it all up last time at the cafe. Malva said that she can feel her energy flowing, so she can try concentrating on her hand as she does. She started trying. Malva asked her to do it a little slower and be more attentive. She made a pillar of energy and asked after that if she had done everything right. The main character asked to do it next time with at least 2 times less power than now. They moved further to the center of the lake and began what they had agreed on before. After they succeeded, they moved back and the main character thanked them all for their help. The main character told Qingran that she used too much energy, so he took her home. The queen told her that in a couple of days, there would be a meat-empty festival in the land of the maidens, and asked if she would like to stay here and spend time with them. She also added that this is their most important holiday, which is celebrated by all their people. The guard said that she had heard a lot about the meat-empty festival and asked if she could go with them. The queen responded positively. The main character, meanwhile, hoped that in the land of maidens they would definitely not encounter danger. After some thought, he said that since the queen was inviting, they would stay a couple more days in the land of the maidens. After some time, the main character thought that at first he was worried about Malva in his world, then about Qingran in the parallel one. But their ability to adapt to new conditions exceeded all his expectations. Later on at the festival, the presenter announced that Maya Sapust's candle-blowing competition would now begin. Next, she presented giant candles and asked her assistant to light them. After that, she announced that the rules were the same as last year with the arena principle, and that whoever defeated last year's champion would become the new champion. The winner, according to her, will receive not only the title of the first daredevil, but also a week of free visit to her mother's sweet shop. After registration, she called the fatal rose of the western lands, Su Mengzhou, and the first brave lady of the country of maidens, Malva, to the stage. Su Mengzhou told Malva that she would not give in, so she should be careful. Malva asked her in return to take better care of herself, because she was confident in her abilities. The presenter then announced that 78 candle-blowing games are starting right now. When Su Mengzhou began to blow, the other girls saw her actions and began to talk about how it looked like she had learned a special technique for this competition. She first sat down, then began to disperse the air in her mouth with movements of her tongue, and with her hands set the direction of the air. When the tongue was at its maximum speed, she began to use the turbo-jet technique with a gentle hurricane. As a result, she managed to blow out 7 candles and break her record, which she set in last year's games. When Malva's turn came, she said that this was a very good result for a person. After Malva managed to blow out 10 candles, many at that moment were very surprised by what they saw. When the main character asked what happened there, the queen replied that Malva and the girls attended a candle-blowing competition. Next, she asked him to call them to them, because the celebration ceremony would begin soon, and in the meantime she would prepare the outfit. After some time, in the evening, the queen came out and announced the onset of the meat-empty festival. According to ancient traditions, on this day, they do not eat meat to thank the spirits of nature, which allow them to always be full. Also, during her speech, she decided to thank the person who made a huge contribution to their country. According to her, in order to help them restore the dry lake of mother and child, risking his life, he obtained a mountain flower. During his exit, he hoped that Qingran would remember to take a better photo of him. After he left, she informed him that she was going to enjoy the festive feast with him. Next, they brought something to the main character and said that these were the best ingredients of their country. The main character saw them and remembered that he had read about these ingredients in short stories. The system at this moment reported that when eaten, earthly pearls improve health and add years of cultivation. The main character asked the system if he would become immortal if he ate everything at once. The system replied that there would definitely not be such an effect. The queen asked him to accept these gifts, as they would be useful for his cultivation. He thanked her for this. After this, the queen announced the beginning of the meat-empty ceremony. While the country of maidens was plunged into an atmosphere of fun, a crisis of incredible proportions began to slowly approach. Meanwhile, some son asked some father why he obeyed the orders of the heavenly palace, since they were very far from him. The father replied that they were dragons, and therefore forced to obey him. Next, the subordinate asked the crown prince if they could begin. He replied that if he called him that again, he would kill him. The questioner said that he was just joking and added that it was already dark and the vigilance of the city's security had been reduced, so this was the most ideal moment. At the southern gate, one of the guards said that she really wanted to eat meat. Another said that they just need to be patient for one day, after which they can do it the next day. At that moment, a man approached them and reported that he had lost something in their city and asked if he could go into the city. The guards replied that the city was closed for the duration of the holiday. The man said that he was very sorry because he wanted to enter in a good way. The girls asked him to move to a safe distance. After killing the guards, the man walked through the southern gate unhindered, saying that they had no sense of humor at all. In the palace of the country of maidens, Qingran talked about life in the real world of people. The queen and Hua Yin liked the story so much that they themselves wanted to live such a life. At that moment, a servant came in and informed the queen that the first empress wanted to see her together with the main character. The queen asked her to take care of the guests. After that, she came out to the people and announced that she was very pleased with today's ceremony and announced the end of the celebrations. She further told the main character that she would change clothes, after which they would go to the first empress. While he was waiting for the queen, he thought that the book had not written about how the throne is passed on in the land of maidens, and therefore it was news to him that the queen had a mother. Then she changed clothes and on the way told the main character that she was her mother's only daughter. Upon reaching adulthood, the inhabitants of the land of maidens accept the gift of the lake to mother and child. And thanks to him, according to her, their country has a high life expectancy, especially among the rulers. Therefore, the first empress is still alive. Arriving at one of the palace buildings, the queen said that the empress settled here after abdicating the throne. The door, according to her, near which they stood, opens only with the help of her spiritual power. After the door opened, the queen said that she had not seen her for a very long time and asked to go inside with her after that. Further along the way, the main character asked the queen what the empress eats. She replied that she was starving. She also said that besides her, he was the first outsider whom she called to her. More precisely, he is the first person of the opposite sex to come here. After she said that they were already there, he asked what kind of water it was. The queen replied that this was the source of the mother and child lake. She further added that this source was protected by rulers at all times. Further along the way, he asked what kind of statues they passed. She replied that these were past rulers. She also said that this is not only a sacred palace, but also a tomb. Seeing the bird in the center, he asked why it was there. She replied that it was not a bird, but a deity who protected the country of the maidens and the mother of Xilian. Legends say that this deity is the reincarnation of the first ruler. They eventually came to the first empress, and she thanked him for his help, because it was thanks to him that their country overcame the crisis. She told her daughter that they had not seen each other for a long time. The queen asked why she called her here. The empress said that she asked her not to let her hair down, because girls are more beautiful with their hair tied up. She also said that there was a mess going on in her head, and during all this long time she, as always, was busy with nonsense. She was also happy that her breasts had become even bigger and that they were becoming more and more like her when she was younger. Thinking that all mothers are the same, the main character began to film all this on his phone. When the queen looked at him with a dissatisfied look, he quickly hid the phone at that moment. The empress told the queen that she was glad that she was alive and well, and added that she had invited them in order to tell them something important. But since this was not the place for such conversations, she took them to a suitable place for this. Leading them to the hidden floor of the divine palace, she told them that she liked to retire here and read books. The main character said that it seemed like it would take forever to read so many books. The empress said that after abdicating the throne, she began to guard the divine palace and that this was good, because she did not interfere in the affairs of the younger generation. The queen said that when a ruler's child reaches adulthood, the ruler is obliged to step down from the throne. The empress told the queen that she remembers how, when she was 4 years old, she always tried to open the door to the divine palace without being noticed, and then she knocked out several of her teeth by falling down the stairs. She was very worried about her then. She also added that she often ran away from the palace to play outside. Every day she saw the guards looking for her. She was very young then, and also said that the years had not been kind to her. Then the empress told the main character that she noticed that he was not from this world and not even from their era, so she did not understand why he helps their country so much. She went on to say that the only reason she sees for this is that he wants to rob them. Having tied him up, she asked why he became close to her daughter. She also said that if he did not tell the truth, she would tear his body into pieces. The queen came to his defense, reminded him of saving her life, asked him to weaken the power of magic so that he would not die, and swore with her life that he was a good person. The empress told the queen that if his goal was the treasure of their country, then all of Xilian would come to an end. The main character did not understand what treasures we were talking about, because he did not even know about them, and did not want to come to this place. But he can't say anything about the system either. But he also understood that in any case, he was finished. The main character said after thinking that Xilian was in trouble, and that's why he came to save him. After his release, he did not understand what happened at that moment and why he was released. The queen asked him if he was okay. He told her that everything was fine with him now. The empress at that moment realized that since the thread of truth freed him, this could only mean that he told the truth. The main character understood that now he was just saying nonsense to survive and felt a bad feeling. Next, the system gave him a hidden task to rescue Cillian with difficulty S. The Empress asked the protagonist for forgiveness and said that she was forced to do this. The main character said that he understood that she was worried about the state and thought that she was as insidious as the queen. The Empress also said that the threads of truth hurt those who lie to her, but this did not happen, which means that he is the same person from the prophecy. She further said that he probably didn't know how the country of maidens was founded, so she decided to tell him that in ancient times, the goddess Nueva repaired the firmament while soul stones began to fall from above. One of the stones was filled with feminine yin energy, and it fell into the settlement of one tribe, forming a crater and then a pond of souls. The people of that tribe began to drink that water, and after that only girls began to be born to them. People began to consider this pond a divine miracle. The power of this stone has attracted monsters hunting for spiritual power. The tribe was constantly attacked by various evil spirits, desecrating the souls of the inhabitants, and everyone wanted to get the treasure of that tribe. But one day the soul stone attracted the attention of the spirit bird Bifan. She drove away all the evil spirits but did not take away the soul stone from the tribe. She sealed the king of evil spirits, but because of this she lost her power. She turned into a human and began to live with the tribe. Together with that tribe, she founded the country of the maidens, in which they are now located. Now the main character finally understands why she treated him so cruelly, because all this turns out to be because of those secrets told. When asked by the queen about the prophecy, the empress replied that it all started with the king of evil spirits, who was locked up. He was locked inside the seal, but not killed. Bifan began to lose her strength with age, and before her death, she left a prophecy for her descendants that if the king of evil spirits were resurrected, only a warrior from another world would help them defeat him. The following rulers not only guarded Cillian, but also expected the appearance of that man from the prophecy. To the protagonist's question about why the king of evil spirits would steal the soul stone, the empress replied that she did not know. However, according to her, the yin soul stone was the treasure of the goddess Nuwa, capable of changing the lives of tens of thousands of creatures. And having obtained it, the king of evil spirits will destroy not only the entire land of Cillian, but also all its inhabitants. She also said that she thinks that this is what he needs the yin soul stone for. The main character asked why he was considered the person from the prophecy, if the king of evil spirits had not yet appeared. The empress asked him if he had forgotten why the lake of mother and child dried up. After that, she said that the subordinates of the king of evil spirits did this in an attempt to find the yin soul stone. She also added that the scorpion queen also serves the king of evil spirits, and if the queen had not saved him, he would not have escaped from her. Therefore, it is quite possible that the king of evil spirits has been watching him for a long time. The empress also said that she believed that his appearance here was not at all a coincidence. He asked if she really wanted to say that the king of evil spirits was already free. She replied that she felt that the aura around Cillian was becoming darker every day. According to her, this has not happened for thousands of years, and this can only mean that the king of evil spirits has returned. He realized that all these events were completely different from those described in the book, and the question arose whether he had really changed the cause and effect relationships, or whether all the names of people and deities were just a coincidence. After the queen, at the request of the empress, approached her, she transferred her spiritual power, which should help the queen discover her hidden abilities. She also said that she is no longer young, so Cillian's life is in her hands. She told the main character that the lives of her daughter and all of Cillian depended on him. He asked her not to worry and promised to definitely save this land. The empress then told them that she had conveyed all the most important things to them and that now they could return. She also said during their departure that she wanted their ancestors to protect them, and she wished Cillian prosperity. Next, the main character asked the system whether they were really in the world of the book Journey to the West, because if so, then why was there such a big difference in events? The system asked him to guess about it himself. The queen told him that if he told anyone about what had happened, she would kill him. She also said that being the ruler of a state, she must control her emotions. She also thanked him for everything he did for Cillian. In Qingran's room, she told Hua Yin about the memories associated with the main character, and Hua Yin liked these stories very much. Then they remembered that Malva had not returned for quite some time, and they decided to go and look for her. Hua Yin said that she was guarding the spiritual pond, so she could sense people's aura. But after she was locked away by the three-headed snake, her power began to fade, and she did not fully regain it after that. She further asked Qingran if she could use some of her power. She gave it and asked if this was enough. Hua Yin responded positively. After that, she felt that Malva was not far from them, on the western side of the city, and she decided to further follow her and bring her here. Qingran asked her how she would get there and if she had wings. She replied that she could not fly, but her animal could. Qingran said that he was cute and small, and then asked if he was her pet. Hua Yin replied that he was her spirit beast named Dudu. Qingran asked if she needed to fly with her. She replied that there was no need to bother herself because she would be back soon. Su Mengzhou, meanwhile, told Malva that she didn't think that she was not a person, but a spirit. Malva told her in response that she, too, did not think that such strong people as she existed. Su Mengzhou also said that she felt that she was not an evil spirit at all, but rather a good one. Malva asked why she lives here among people being so strong. Su Mengzhou said that she used to serve in the border troops, maintaining the security of Ziliang's borders. Her colleagues began to die one after another in battles, and only she remained. They agreed that if any of them survived, they would protect the children of their dead colleagues. After finishing her service, she got a job in an orphanage. Children who have grown up already have the opportunity to get a job and help the orphanage. Looking at them, she remembers the times of her service, but her comrades can no longer be returned. That is why, according to her, she must raise all their children. Otherwise, she will not be able to look her comrades in the eyes when they meet in the next world. Malva asked if she was bored living the ordinary life of a peaceful person after a long service in the army. Su Mengzhou replied that, to be honest, there is not much of this, but for her the main thing is children. Seeing the sand, Malva asked if there were sand winds in Xilian. Su Mengzhou replied that after the entire country was planted with trees, the sand winds no longer appeared. Malva gave her the map and said that she had to go, otherwise her friends would start worrying about her. Su Mengzhou said that since she lost the competition, the prize should belong to her. Moreover, she loves sweets. Malva said that this was not for her, but for the children. Su Mengzhou thanked her. During the flight, she assumed that Qingran and Hua Yin were most likely already asleep, so she needed to approach them quietly so as not to wake them up. Seeing the sand again, she flew to its source, and having arrived at the square, she wondered where the people had gone, because since there is no curfew in the country of maidens, there should be a lot of people at this time. Then she saw that there was even more sand, and remembered that only one person likes to use sand in his atrocities, namely Huang Fengling. He noticed her and remembered that he hated the flower race because they were too sensitive. She flew up to him and asked if it really wasn't enough for him to kill her people and destroy an entire tribe, so he came here. He replied that he did not come here for them because her race no longer poses any threat to them. Although he will not deny himself the pleasure of causing a massacre, and it seems that the murder of residents will have to be left for last. She tried to hit him, but he repelled the attack and said that although she had an explosive character, she definitely did not have enough strength to fight him. She told him that she would not allow him to continue to do evil, and after that she launched a couple of moonflowers at him. He said that considering that she was able to hurt him from such a close distance, she really surprised him, because for her age, she has very good abilities. He also said that although he was forced to praise her, he didn't want to waste time. He decided to get this over with as quickly as possible and used a sand leopard shot aimed at her. She had questions about whether he was completely immortal and whether all his power lay only in these grains of sand. She once again used a pair of moonflowers with separation, and he realized that she had used this technique again, but he also told her that he could restore health. He tried to use the sky hurricane attack, but he didn't realize where he was. She asked him if he could really recover only with the help of sand. She also added that if so, she would blow it away right away, using the same ability as when blowing out candles. But he was able to approach her unnoticed, and grabbing her by the throat, he told her that he had to admit that she was quite smart. He also told her that if her race had brains, they would not have sunk to such a level, and he was sorry, but he was not afraid of a wind of such strength. He then imprisoned her in a sand prison and said that he did not know what she forgot in Xilian, but he noticed that she had great potential. He also invited her to join them because Mr. Baigu could give her endless power. He also added that Mr. Beg likes her aura and that their army is already inside the city, and when it is fully restored, they will rule the world and return the power of evil spirits in this world. She said that she would not join them because people, evil spirits and deities must coexist, because they want to seize all power only for their own benefit. She also said that her race initially did not accept him, and he began to kill them, forcing all their inhabitants to wander the world. When he sent her to die, Hua Yin saved her and said that she felt that his spiritual power was very great, so they should leave quickly. He said that they would not be able to escape and tried to attack them with sand. But Hua Yin sent him a sea wave. She asked if she really succeeded. Malva replied that he had stopped pursuing them. After seeing the water technology, he realized that his recovery was definitely slowing down now. Malva said that it looked like her attacks could hold back his abilities and that she had an idea. Next, she asked her if she could surround her body with water. Hua Yin responded positively. Malva said that in this case, they would easily defeat him. The servants told the returning queen that today was a big holiday and that all the people wished her happiness. The queen said that she had not been on the throne for long, so it was better to wish the empress happiness. She went on to tell the servants that she had grown up with her and that she had also gone through a lot over the years. Therefore today, she can return early to rest. Another servant told the queen that she should not violate the empress's decree. The queen said that the whereabouts of the empress were kept strictly secret, and then asked how she knew about her decree. Moreover, the guards are prohibited from entering the queen's chambers. She took out her sword and said that she did not know the rules of this palace at all, and that her disguise was too bad. Next, she called the guards and asked to seize the intruder who had sneaked into her chambers. Meanwhile, the main character in his chambers did not understand why he was faced with an S-level task, because he was just a student. The system told him that he should not worry because he was lucky, since he could even find hidden tasks. He reminded the system that it generally likes to disappear at the most crucial moment, and he does not know what to do. The system replied that after successfully completing the task, he would be able to make any wish that it would fulfill. One of the fearful women ran to him after he felt the earthquake and asked if he was okay, otherwise they were in trouble. He asked what exactly happened. The guard replied that a very powerful explosion was heard in the queen's chambers. Meanwhile, the queen asked the enemy to show his true appearance and stop hiding. The enemy said that he still didn't like this appearance, but he had to admit that her insight was quite strong. After returning to his form, he said that if she gave him the treasure of her kingdom, then she would not have such a terrible end. She told the fourth son of the emperor that she did not expect that a member of the dragon race would serve the evil king. He said that the dragon race was too cowardly and that only the king of evil spirits could save them. Next, he asked if Cillian's treasure was behind the door he was thinking about, and he also said that if so, then she should open it for him. Otherwise, he will kill her. She asked if he really thought that she was afraid of death, and she also asked why he thought she was the ruler of the country. She also said that she was sorry that the great fourth son of the emperor had stooped to serving the king of evil spirits, because the king of the dragons would have been proud of him. But since he thinks that cowards live in their country, now she will show him everything. After her words, she invited him to see the power of Queen Cillian and threw chains at him. He replied that he had said that he would kill her if she did not cooperate with him, and used dragon flames against her. The queen used the seal of 4 images, and at the same moment Xuan and some other girl came to her aid, who was ready to kill the one who attacked the queen. Then several more people came to the rescue, and with their joint efforts they were able to defeat him. The queen said that her guards were the elite of martial arts. When any threat to the kingdom arises, they begin to kill mercilessly. Freed from his shackles, he said that their kingdom should not be underestimated because they really have enormous power. But ordinary people are still pathetic. One of the guards tried to attack him again, but he repelled the attack without straining and said that her fighting spirit was good, but she clearly did not have enough strength. He also said that people can be split by pressing on their shortcomings and completely destroyed. He also said that now he will show them the real strength of the dragon race. Having killed one of the guards, the others continued to attack him, and he said that he knew that they would not stop there. Zhu Kui said that she had already locked away his spiritual power and told the white tiger that he could save the green dragon. And she told him that if he crosses these chains, then his spiritual power will end up in her body. He said that this was a very good idea, but she did not know the consequences of containing such powerful energy. After all, this power can cause rejection in her body. In the end, this is what happened. After that, he killed the others and asked the queen to give up the treasure. Otherwise, her life would end the same way as theirs. The queen said that during the entire existence of Cillian, evil spirits had never penetrated into the country, so it was a shame for her that she allowed this to happen. She also said that even if she dies today, he will not achieve his goal, because she will have to kill him with her own hands. Next, she activated the full power of the Sacred State Defense Barrier. Meanwhile, he activated the Dragon Seal and began to attack her. She saw that he was attacking with such power that her barrier could hardly contain these blows, but she needed to hold out until the main character arrived. He further said that since she refused to obey him, he would take away her spiritual power. She said that she would not allow him to absorb a drop of her spiritual power, and she invoked the ban of the Holy Maiden. At that moment, the main character came and asked him if he really thought it was cool to invade a country where only girls live. The enemy asked if there really was a guy living in the land of virgins and if they were going to expand the country. He further said that he doesn't care about it, because he doesn't want to talk to them anymore, and he used the dragon seal with a hurricane attack against the main character. Using the red cloud, the main character told the enemy that he would now send him into the air using a heavenly strike. But the enemy escaped his attack and, attacking from above with the seal of a dragon and 6 claws, asked him if it was hard for him to fight now. The main character replied that not only did he feel great, but his attacks also helped him. After that, he triggered the release of the red cloud in weapon form. Seeing the enemy attempt to use the powerful dragon flames, the protagonist asked if he was really going to release dragon energy, and if he could handle its attack speed. After the attack of the red cloud and a heavy blow, the main character stopped at the sight of the queen, who asked him if he was okay. The main character replied that everything was fine because he had met another eccentric who overestimated his strength. After restoration, the enemy thanked the main character for showing him the power of the red cloud, because it is thanks to him that he now perceives people differently. Seeing this, the main character asked the queen to quickly leave because this opponent was not the same as the previous ones. She asked if he would go with her. He replied that he would deal with him here, and in the meantime she should find a safe place and take refuge there. She agreed with him. The enemy asked if by the previous enemy he meant the Scorpion Queen, because he heard that she was subdued by one of the deities, and assumed that this obviously could not have happened without his help. Next, the enemy asked which of the deities he invited here this time. The main character said that since he knew the Scorpion Queen, it means they were at the same time. After the explosion, the main character could not understand what it was and what kind of strange technique this was. The enemy approached the lying protagonist and said that they went into battle in order to protect something important to them, and he understands everything, but he is too weak. The main character began to stand up and asked the enemy not to speak as if he were a martial emperor, after which he asked whether it was necessary to ruin the lives of other people in order to protect something of his own. The main character said that he does not know what exactly he is protecting, but if he wants to get out of here, then this is only possible through his corpse. Having prepared to attack, the enemy understood that weaklings do not know what it means to protect someone, because violence is the meaning of life for them. The main character said that it is still unknown which of them will win, because now he will return him to his previous appearance. The enemy knew that the protagonist was too fast and too close, so he would not be able to use the sonic blast, but despite being seriously injured, the protagonist continued to move quickly, which surprised him. The enemy used a sand clock to increase the distance, but the main character used an evasion spell and as he approached promised to break his rattle. The wounded enemy asked the main character why he was still resisting, because this time after the next explosion, it was difficult for him to even get up. The main character said that he knows that a true defender will not rob others to protect his own, and that any robber must lose everything. The enemy confirmed that robbers always end up with nothing, but dragons never robbed the Celestials. He also said that although the Celestials stole everything from them, from people to territories, his cowardly and weak father became a vassal of the Celestials. He also said that he understood one thing, namely that he must become stronger to protect his people, and also that he must destroy the current world order. Therefore, for the sake of strength, he is ready to give up everything. He also added that the leader of the evil spirits promised him that if he gets the treasure, the dragon race will destroy the Celestials. According to him, he is sorry, but now the dragons are weak and it is good that the head of the evil spirits awakened and helped him gain unprecedented power. But he must understand that he is weaker than him now. He also told the main character that his zealous appearance infuriated him and promised to show him the great power that the king of evil spirits had given him. Next, the main character took out a pill and wondered if he really should use it. The system responded at that moment that he would receive the power of the Celestials if he accepted it. But the side effect will affect his rebirth. The main character asked what this meant. The system replied that he just needed to be more careful. He knew that he didn't have time to think about it now, so he decided to accept it and think about it after the battle. After the reception, he found himself in some unfamiliar place and wondered where he ended up. He touched his skin and realized that all his wounds had healed, and the question arose in his mind whether this pill was really so powerful. At that moment, Bacon approached him and said that he had been waiting for him for a long time and that he had appeared here not at all because of the pill, but because he wanted to talk to him. He said that he was the author of adventure stories and invited him to talk, otherwise the plot was almost over. He also added that in 5 chapters this manhwa will end, but after their conversation he will no longer influence his fate. Perhaps someone will want to continue this story, but even he does not know how to end it. The main character said that the story ends very quickly and he regrets that he has not yet had time to confess his love to the queen, and he also has a lot of unfinished business, including a date with the queen. He also said that he was very pleased to be in this world, but he almost died, and he was interested in the question of whether he would die at the hands of his enemy. Bacon replied that since he is the main character, he cannot die, but he will not be able to defeat this enemy. The main character laughed and said that he thought so too, because after all, everything cannot always go too smoothly. Bacon said that it is not possible to predict events, and he thinks that he understands the danger of further events because he will lose in the battle for the country of maidens, and after that, he will find new friends in the heavenly palace and see a lot of things. He also added that he really tries very hard in writing this story and wants him to live not as a tool for making money, but he does not have the strength to continue this story. According to him, he feels that he was given a certain soul during the creation of this story, although he did not realize his idea perfectly. The main character asked him not to be so sad because he was very happy all this time. He didn't exist, but at some point he created him and gave him a lot. According to him, he also found good friends and solved many problems, and even met the queen of the country of virgins. He also asked Bacon to consider that he had seen this world and that everything was not in vain. Although the ending will not be perfect, he is grateful to him and all those who read this story. Bacon suggested that the main character rest for now because he was a little tired. While relaxing, he decided to give the main character a gift of divine power for life, so that he would no longer be an ordinary person. According to him, this force can tear his body, but he has an assistant who will not allow this. He also said that he must walk the rest of the way himself, and his assistant should not sit idly by either. While the queen was asking him to wake up and asking if he was okay, an enemy approached them and asked if they had forgotten about him. The main character moved with the queen and said that he was fine and that he had a dream in which he met with a deity who said that he could not win. He further said that he did not know whether this was true or not, but in any case, she should hide the treasure of the land of maidens in a safe place and trust him for the rest. She said that she would stay and fight side by side with him. He said that she was still the queen, and her duty was to protect the treasure. He said that he would definitely not die. The enemy said that with just one pill he would definitely not be able to stop him. The main character attacked him with new powers, including lightning, and the enemy said that dragons can directly call lightning from the sky, so his spell does not threaten him. But he noticed a fire lightning spell, after which he became slower and became more interested, but he said that even so it would not do anything to him and used a sound explosion. Seeing that this was no longer working, he realized that it looked like he had underestimated this man. The main character told the enemy that he was talking too much, and at that moment he once again wounded him. The queen came to the empress and said that the evil king had already invaded the country. The empress said that he was supposed to come, but she did not expect it to happen so quickly. The king of evil spirits wants to remove the binding spell from himself with the help of the juice of their country. She also added that he does not know that the treasure is not in the palace at all. After all, when Bifan got the treasure, she hid it behind the mountains. She also said that she does not know where exactly the treasure is, just as the previous empresses did not know, but the feather was passed down to her through generations. This feather is the key to the seal behind which the treasure is hidden. Upon handing it over to the queen, the empress said that she must evacuate the inhabitants as quickly as possible to the lands beyond the mountains. The queen asked the empress if she would go with her. She replied that she had little energy left, but she had something important to do. The queen asked if she could do it for her. The empress replied that the people needed her, and that now she must rely only on herself. After the queen left, the empress realized that since the man from the prediction had come, it meant that this was the will of heaven. She further told ancestor Bifan that the evil king had already invaded Xiliang, and she was ready to sacrifice herself in order to open the country's defense seal. Seeing the country's defense seal activated, the enemy realized that it looked like they would have to act faster. He also had a question whether the third sister had time to take the spiritual pearl to that place. Then he remembered that these two girls were bothering him a lot, so he needed to find a way to break away from them. Using the sand puppet, he knew that it would waste half of his mana, but it was the fastest way to escape from them. Malva told Hua Yin that she needed water to stop the enemy. Seeing the technique of reviving water, the enemy realized that it was just in time, because now he would create a protective shell for himself. Seeing the sand wasp hive, Hua Yin created a water shield to protect herself from them. The enemy understood that sand wasps eat even more mana than a puppet, but they would be more effective at delaying the girls, because he now urgently needs to go to the ancient tree in the southwest that the owner spoke about. Approaching the right place, he realized that it turns out that this secret place is not so difficult to find. He understood that his task would be considered completed when he placed the spiritual pearl here. Meanwhile, one of the servants informed all the residents that they had been attacked and that the queen had ordered a night evacuation and asked everyone to follow the guards. One of the girls said that the queen's elite defenders died in battle with the enemy, and even the country's defense shield was activated. Another said that it couldn't be otherwise, and suggested that they go faster, otherwise there might be enemies around them. At the same time, the mistress with the three-headed snake appeared, who said that Queen Cillian destroyed her heart last time and she lost 500 years of cultivation, and that is why she must pay for it in full. She also realized that it looked like the owner had already launched an attack since there were no guards in the city. Next, she sent the earthly spirit to the owner to help open the soul collection seal. The enemy who fought with the main character asked him if they were not right in that they were protecting their people, because the Father Emperor had in vain chosen the path of submission to the Heavenly Council, and therefore he must destroy it. He also added that he would not be able to hurt him, even with divine power. After the destruction of the Red Cloud, the main character had a question about what kind of fake it was, and why the Red Cloud spear broke so easily when exposed to his enemy. The system reported that in fact, this spear only releases its true power after it is broken. He didn't have enough magical power before, so she didn't tell him about it. The system also reported that Bacon left so abruptly that she did not have time to thank him, because he gave him all his accumulated power, and from such an amount of energy she was almost torn apart. The main character finally understood what Bacon was talking about, and it turns out that she is the one who should work for him. At that moment, the enemy began to attack him, and ask how he dared to underestimate him, after which he said that since he wanted death so badly, he would help him with this with the claws of a ferocious dragon. The main character said that he had to disappoint him, and that he was unlucky because he had a system. After this, the main character told the system that all this time it had only been giving him tasks, but now it was his turn, and he ordered it to destroy the enemy after that. The system said that although it had restored only the spiritual shell, this was enough for it to carry out his order. After all, when she existed in a physical body, the king of evil spirits still wore diapers. The main character said that it turns out that she still has a lot of secrets, and he asked her if she had a name. She replied that she was the system of the world of traveling to the west, Daoban. She promised to tell him about the rest later, and at that moment she bestowed the cloak of the great sage. The main character asked if this cloak had once belonged to the Monkey King. The system replied that it had to pay a considerable price to obtain the sacred relic. This cloak has the same properties as the original sage cloak. At that moment, he remembered that he also had the magic cloud of the Monkey King and realized that his kit was now completely assembled. The enemy asked the main character who he was and where he got all these things from. The main character replied that it was not that important. After all, now the only important thing is that he wanted to destroy the country of maidens. He also asked me to answer the question of how cool the stick he was holding in his hands was. Without waiting for an answer, he said that each of them protects his people, and if he wants to protect with the help of murders, then he should not leave him alive. The enemy said that this was funny and asked if he did not consider the killing of his people by the Heavenly Council to be an injustice. The main character replied that he was to blame for finding the wrong owner, and he was unlucky that he met him as an enemy. After another attack, the main character realized that it was not for nothing that he was a descendant of dragons, because he was very strong. Next, the main character told the enemy that he sees that he has the power to be reborn, but he will beat him until this power runs out. He also said that it was thanks to him that he understood how to use this weapon correctly. While the enemy lay there and could not even move, he wondered if he had really made a mistake. A mistress came to the enemy with a three-headed snake and asked him why he was wounded. He replied that he did not know that they had a warrior with divine power. She said that she also thought while fighting him that he was unusual. Seeing the living three-headed snake, the main character said that it looked like his clone died last time. The girl said that she didn't care how strong he was, but in her opinion, he should pay for taking her heart. The main character said that he was tired of chatting and he invited her to taste his enlarged golden stick. After the attack, the main character did not understand why he had a bad feeling and why he felt a negative aura from the palace. Meanwhile, the summoned earthly spirit managed to destroy the country of the maidens before the main character killed him. He was unable to defeat the enemy, as predicted by Bacon.